There's Juliet, Bong, and Rasmia. Hello, you're early, but the early birds get the worms, huh? I'm Merlina. I'm Dr. McCullough. You can call me Merlina. I think all three of you are new, right? Is that right? I know Bong, Bong has been here, right? Bong? Your last name sounds familiar. But Juliet, I think you're new. And then Rasmia, for sure, I think you're new. Please tell me if I'm correct. Let me see if I could change while waiting for the others. Let me see if I could change my my virtual background. Hello, can you hear me? Let me know. Rasmia and Juliet, you want to talk to me? I know we're early, 20 minutes early, but the more we can get in, the better. Let's get some music going there.
No, dunggan asa dyan i-off sa ni.
Juliet.
I-off mo kay madunggan ang kon. I-off ang mic.
Rasmia, are you already in? Looks like Bong left us. Maybe everybody's not ready to talk yet. Rasmia, can you hear me? All right. Juliet, are you the only one left now? People are coming in and out. Juliet, do you have your camera open? I mean, can you do it? All right, let me see. Okay, good evening. Yeah, you put on chat, Juliet. Can you talk to me? You unmute. You don't mind to unmute yourself first. Juliet, where are you from? Trying to fix your camera. Okay, you got it. I see you now. Or no, is that, yeah, that's Rasmi. I'm sorry. Juliet, you're still not available and your video is still not available. Rasmia, where are you from? What part of the Philippines? So Juliet is from Cagayan. Yeah, we have some Cagayan de Oro teachers here already. Yeah. Who's, hi, good morning. I have a few teachers that are here now that are visiting me. So they're going to talk to you today. They're over here cooking breakfast right now. So. Right. So Rasmia, can you talk to me? I know Juliet is typing, but. And there's Giselle, yay. There's Giselle. Leslie, Giselle is here. Yeah, she's already, yeah. Yeah. I'll get you to talk in a minute. Okay, Rasmia, there you go. Rasmia's camera is on now. Giselle, welcome. Thank you for attending. Hi, Giselle, can you be my co-host, please? I'm gonna make you my co-host, okay? You can let people in. I don't know if Mike is coming. I don't know if Mike is coming or not, but his family's already here now, so I don't know how busy he gets. His two kids are here with the wife. So thank you, Giselle, for being my co-host. Okay, so I want to welcome Julia, Verna, Rasmia. Of course, Giselle is my co-host. So any of you want to talk to me, you can type also in the chat. Like Juliet said, she's from Cagayan de Oro. She's trying to fix her camera. I would encourage you to turn on your camera, especially if you have not been introduced to me officially, because I would love to see your beautiful faces when you're introduced to me. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I see you, Rasmia. I see you, Bong. Thank you for coming back in. There's Juliet. Yay. Now, who wants to talk to me first? Giselle, you can call someone if you want to.
Me see, Doc.
Verna said she is from, where are you from? You just said hi. Okay. And Bong said, good evening, Doc and everyone. Good evening. It's actually good morning for us. They're cooking breakfast. Maria is here. Dr. Johnson, Jing, Leslie. There's about, what, 14 of them. 4 kids, but 10 adults are here visiting me. So that you're going to get to, you have a treat today. You're going to get to talk to them. Hopefully they'll come. Huh?
That's my name.
Yeah. Good morning. Okay. From Bukidnon. So Verna is from Bukidnon, Philippines. Now, is Bukidnon a Cebuano language or Tagalog?
Mixed, Doc.
Which
there
one?
Are Cebuanos. There
Cebuano?
are Cebuanos, Doc. There are
Visayan?
Ilonggos. Yes, Doc.
Verna, talk to me, Verna,
Also,
please. Okay, Visayan. Okay, yeah, that's good. But we can't talk Visayan or Tagalog because some of these videos later, I'm going to take clips and I'm going to make into like a small clip for Facebook or for YouTube. So let's speak English, okay, if you don't mind. And it's also a good practice for you. So when you come here, you will have your English already polished. So fluency in English is a very important thing for you whenever you skill for you in order for you to do well in your interview, because you need to be able to fluently speak your thoughts instead of, not being able to. So that might hinder you from getting a job if you're not very fluent, because that's one thing that they always worry about. Like, can the students understand these teachers, these international teachers? So that's why fluency is so important. So the most opportunities that you have on speaking English, take advantage of it. I know we don't do that in our homes, but like your kids, if you have small kids, you may want to start speaking English with them. That was a good practice for them, plus for you. I know Leslie's been speaking English to her daughter, Ixora, for years. Ixora, when she came here from the Philippines, her mama got a job. She's very fluent in English. And she's actually beating the other students in literacy scores here in the US. She's excelling. She's beating the American kids. So I would encourage you, if you your grandkids, to speak English to them, especially if you have aspirations to come to the US, because that language fluency is a must. Okay. All right. So Giselle, who's our first one that we need to talk to today? I'm gonna let you be a co-host and tell me.
I think we'll have Verna, Doc. She's the one who chatted first.
What is it?
It's Verna.
Verna. So Verna
Orbisondo. Yes, Doc.
Yes, I would like for you to tell me your name, your degrees that you have finished. What's your current job right now? Or, I know you're on vacation, but when you're teaching, what is your role? What subject area or grade level? And then do you have your master's or not, or above? And then why do you want to come to the US? And if you know you're teaching philosophy, that's a very common question they'll ask you. They will give you about 2 to 3 minutes to introduce yourself. So my example would be, I'm Dr. Merlina McCullough. I am an educator. Actually, I was a teacher and administrator for 36 years now in Arkansas. So I have more than 30 plus years in education because I finished my doctorate degree here at Arkansas State University. Actually, I finished my bachelor's, master's, specialist, and doctorate here at Arkansas State University, where I'm also now teaching as an adjunct instructor. I teach teachers and principals to get their superintendent certificate. So I teach the master's level and the specialist level. And my passion is helping teachers come here to the US. We had 40 plus, I think close to 40 anyway, that I know of. Some of them went to another state and I didn't keep up with them, that came last year. And this year we may have more because I know I got a lot of them saying, I got a job offer, I'm going to North Carolina, I'm going to this different states. So I still want you to continue to join us. That way we can kind of keep in touch with you and seeing what your experiences are. And I know like Maria was my very first one. Maria, you want to come over and say hi real quick? She's here making breakfast. I'm gonna have her say hi.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
I hope you all can hear me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Maria is my very first one. She's the youngest still of all the teachers here. And this is her, she just finished her 2 years here. So she will be getting her 3rd year. And she is at a very nice school in Brinkley, and the superintendent is just amazing. One of my dear friends, Dr. Poole. And I know Nieva just got a job offer from the same school, and her best friend Christine is teaching there. So I'm hoping Nieva would join us in a few minutes, maybe. She just told me that she has an official job offer. She's now looking for her principal, and she and her principal were actually contacting me to get a designated visa sponsor. So I just sent both of them the list. So anyway, so when you talk, you just introduce yourself. Like I would talk about the number of years. I did that 30 plus years. And I was a teacher. I was a literacy specialist in a big district. And I also was a curriculum director, ESL coordinator. And later on, I became a trainer, a PD specialist at the Department of Education. So the main office at the Department of Education in Arkansas, I was working there in Little Rock, which is our capital. And so that's where I retired from in 2016. After 2016, I formed my own consulting agency. And that's what I do is I would do training across the state, across the United States. And I do also a lead evaluation for schools to do accreditation. I'm one of the lead for Cognia. So we would travel, like I traveled to Saudi Arabia for 16 days. And I did accreditation there for 2 schools, and I presented at their global conference. And I have been to Dominican Republic, Philippines, Taguig. So they sent me to the Philippines. That was nice. That was my best one to me because of free trip back home. And then also I've been to so many different states, from New York to Georgia to Alabama, Tennessee, so many different states where they send me to do accreditation visit, which is really an important role because I will have a team with me and we would actually interview the teachers, the students, the parents, community holders, everybody, and to look at all their records and so on and interview. And the interview results, we would talk about it and see if they are gonna, get their accreditation or not. So it's a big deal for the school. They come over there in Taguig, one of the international schools there. They have a big old banner, and we all have our doctors or Dr. Sons, so 5 of us. And so they posted our names there. So I had to take a picture of it with my, for my husband, like, look at that. We look pretty official here. But anyway, so I want you to talk, just be comfortable. Like when you are getting your interview, just kind of visit with them. It's not like you're going to be stiff and like really be kind of looking like afraid. Just like relax and just, comment on something if you like something, I think it's always good when you feel so comfortable, they'll also feel comfortable with you and they're able to do some follow-up questions. I think they're over there cooking. What are you cooking? Okay, they're making fried rice. Okay, so anyway, okay, so Verna, you want to talk to us now?
Doc, I think Verna has a problem with her audio.
Oh,
Let's have
okay, so
uh,
let's call an alternative then.
it's Ma'am Rasmia, Doc. Rasmia Fernandez.
Okay. Come on, Rasmia. Want to talk to us? Yeah. Yeah, tell us about you. Can we hear you? Rasmia or Verna, one of you. I know Verna's popping up now, but I don't know which one to get started.
Good evening, Doc. Merlina.
Yes, good evening. Is this Verna? Yeah, Verna, what
Yes,
happened to your
Doc.
camera?
Um. Oh, it's good morning there.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
hi.
thank you for turning your camera. Yeah. I like your background, colorful. You might want, if you do an interview, you have to, if your background is very colorful, you need to have a solid outfit because you're
Yes.
like competing with your background. Okay. Just a thought. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's really nice. I love your clothes. I love your top. Is that a dress or a top? It's nice
Actually, I'm
design.
having my pajamas because
Okay.
I'm about to sleep. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
don't do
Doc.
that on your interview. Be sure that you
Yeah,
are
yes,
like dressed up.
Doc.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
Doc.
okay. Yeah, tell us about you.
Okay, I'm Verna Joy Orbisondo Umongos from Talakag Bukidnon. I'm a kindergarten teacher of the Gundalahon Elementary School. I guess it's not in the center. I mean, my school is traveled 16 kilometers from our district office,
Okay.
so it's quite far.
Far.
I
Mhm.
I call actually we're calling ourselves as mountain teachers
Oh,
because
really? Yeah.
yeah, we are assigned in a mountain.
Wow. Mountain
And
of what? What area in the Philippines?
actually actually we just call it mountain because usually our place is in elevated area.
Okay. So you have to like
Yeah,
hike up. There's no transportation there. You have to actually
there
literally hike.
there is dog actually, but only a single motorcycle. Yeah.
Habal-habal. Okay.
Yes, dog. Habal
Yeah.
habal.
Yeah.
And
I learned about that when I came back.
I went home daily because I have my kid, my son, and I used to breastfeed him. So that's why I sacrifice to go home every day.
Okay. When you do
And
your interview, you might not want to say that about the breastfeeding part. You just say, I have a young child back home.
okay,
Yeah, you
okay.
just say, yeah, and they don't say breastfeed here anyway, they say nurse, but you don't have, that's too much information. Just say, I have a very young child and I have to be home, yeah. Okay,
Dog.
go
That's
ahead.
no,
Yeah. What's your teaching philosophy and, well, how many years again of education that you have?
I've been teaching in the school for 6 years already, last June.
Okay.
And I am teaching a kindergarten.
Okay. What do you believe about teaching? Like, do you think teaching should be hands-on? What do you believe about teaching? What's your teaching philosophy?
For me, Doc, teaching is actually it is really a noble profession because you have to teach children and consider them as your own,
Very good.
especially the young ones. And you cannot you should always have everything. I mean, you should always have um knowledge, the content and pedagogy, because you really can't give what you don't have if you don't know this.
That's right.
And for me, I've
Yeah.
learned teaching kindergarten. I treat them as my own child,
That's important. Yep.
and
That's
I'm
important.
enjoying teaching kindergarten. Though sometimes I have this in mind: what if I will be transferred to a higher level? I think, well, that's not a problem for me because I am adaptable
Very good.
and I'm willing to learn how to teach these higher grade pupils or learners.
Okay, very good. Why do you want to come to the US to teach?
Actually, Doc, I am very excited to know their the culture there. It
Okay.
is one of my dream. I have just have this dream since maybe just started 1 year ago.
Wow. Okay. That you want to come here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because I have read many articles about those teaching in
Yeah.
America, and then how they share their experiences,
Yep.
and so it made me more interested.
Okay.
And also I'm excited to share um my culture, especially here in Bukidnon.
Yeah.
And I think that would be all, Doc.
Yeah, very good. You need to be more fluent, which means that you're gonna be like trying to practice it in front of your friends or in front of your family or the mirror, and just write it down and just kind of memorize it and just make it like you're just talking to me. I mean, it was fine. It was you relaxed and so on, but you just need to make it more fluent. Okay.
Okay.
So, and I know it's really hard because even though I've been here a long time, it's always hard for me when I have to talk to someone about myself. So yeah.
Actually, Doc, that's really true.
Yeah.
That's really true because English is really I haven't practiced it more often because in our school I am teaching in a far-flung area, and mostly in DepEd we are using now the mother tongue.
Yeah.
So in the medium of instruction we are using it. So sometimes English kind of we already forgot to use
Yeah.
it. So that's why
Yeah.
I
Don't say that
believe
in your interview
that's
though.
a
Don't say
problem.
that in your interview. It made it sound like you might not, you might not have enough or sufficient knowledge. Don't say
Okay, Doc.
but you can share that with me. That's fine. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's fine.
that's
Just
why.
because I know that the Philippines, since the new leadership, I know they have encouraged you to use our native tongue, Filipino, language. But in the past, English has always been our medium of instruction. So you could even say that in the past we had English as our medium of instruction, and we always already learned English since kindergarten. We have been taught our ABC since kindergarten, and that's why the Philippines has actually won over India as the number one, the IT, the people that would answer phones. What do you call them?
Call center.
Call teller, oh
Call
yeah.
center. Yes.
Call centers. Yeah, we have more call centers in the Philippines, more of Filipinos doing that than any nation in the world. So it used to be
Yes,
India, and we have beaten India because of the fluency of the Filipinos in the language. And that's why we actually number one in the world about that. And so that's something we can be proud of. That means that they should not be worried about English about us, because it's something that we're used to. And that's why my husband was surprised when he was in the Philippines in 87, we got married. He was like surprised that everybody seems to know English. Anywhere he went, people knew English, from the tricycle drivers or the jeepney drivers and whoever. They knew English. And I said, well, it doesn't matter if you have just a not very high education, but we do know English, right? You agree? Yeah.
Yes,
So this
yes,
is a
Doc, I
question
agree.
for me. This is what the process is like. I know some of you were interested in how does this work. Well, what I do is I have more than 300 teachers right now on my list. And what I do is I share this with all the administrators in Arkansas. I have that distribution list of all the principals and all the superintendents. I've shared the list with them. And the list contain your name, your, all the things about you, and then a link towards your folder. Every one of you, if you send your resume or CV and your cover letter, get your cover letter to your superintendent, principal, HR, and or hiring committee. You can say that and then talk about yourself. Do not make it too long. Don't write a book. Don't write a whole page, but just at least 3 things about yourself, possibly your teaching philosophy, and maybe why do you want to come and teach for their school, which means you're going to have to look up their school before you send something in order for you to look at their mission and their vision and maybe say something about that. That would get their attention. And then make sure that your resume has at least 3 letters, 3 reference information, It could be from your colleague, whoever wrote you a reference letter, that's who I would put there. You can put me there because you've talked to me. If you have talked to me officially like this, you can put me there. And then there is a link there called relevant information for teachers that I send everybody. So if you need that, you let me know. And then I have all this information there, like, what you can say, what you can say on your resume, cover letter, and so on. So information like that. And also a link to www.schoolspring.com, which is a direct, when you want to directly apply to the school, which I would encourage you. Do not just depend on me sending these things, because you need to also be proactive and doing that yourself. And I also have another file and this is all in that link of that relevant information, of job postings from all the 50 states. It's an ABC order, and I took at the 10 to 15 largest schools in that school districts in every state, and I put the link already. So you just have to click on that link, and it will go to the job postings. And so that's something that you may want to do. You think about, what state do I want to teach in? Of course, I'm biased to Arkansas because I've been in Arkansas for 36 years. So I would love for you all to teach in Arkansas, because we have a shortage just like other states do. And the nice thing if you teach around Arkansas, like close to our states, then I could still come visit you. You can still come visit us. And so like Missouri is right north of us, above us. And then below us is Louisiana. And then on the west side will be Texas and Oklahoma. And then we have Tennessee and Mississippi. So those are the states in the South. The South means that these states are going to be kind of mild weather. They're not going to get so big a snow. They don't have snows that would cover a car or a house, in some states like New York and all those states close to Canada. If you Maryland and all those, they are very heavy snow. So which means you're going to have to really have thick clothes, or you will get frostbite. And I don't like to live in those kind of places. So I like the South, because like right now in the summer, I have my garden, it's like the Philippines here. It's very hot right now. But in the winter, we might get some snow, but not very often. And the schools usually put in like 5 extra days in their calendar for snow days, they call it. So that if there's really heavy snow and it's not safe for the bus to travel or the parents to take the kids to school, then they would actually tell it's a snow day. That means that a lot of it now, they're just going to do, the packets or the, Google Classroom, work, and then the kids will just do it from home. So they still have those days. So sometimes they want to save that in order for them to have a spring break for a whole week, because sometimes the snow day could be, we use 2 snow days. So our spring break would be starting on Wednesday instead of, the whole week. And they don't like that, especially for parents who would book like cruises or or really long trips. They don't like to do that. They don't like their spring break being broken. Or sometimes they would put it at the end of the year. In some schools, I remember some schools, when it was snowing kind of harder than normal here, some schools were actually going through June, first week of June. Usually, like, we are done with school. We start in August, usually about middle of August. And then they, because of the professional development of PDs, and then we are done by end of May, or some of them middle of May, depending on how they did your PDs. Some of them would assign their PDs to teachers, get your PDs done. That way you can save some days at the end. But anyway, each school is required to have 180 days of student-teacher interaction. So you have to put in 180 days in your calendar in order for you to meet the requirement of the Arkansas Department of Education. So that's what it is here. So you have any question for me? What's your question for me on the process? No? Okay, so let's, Giselle, you want to call the next one? Who is this? Lorena, you want to talk to me since you're already on? Lorena, you're new. I love your background. Yeah.
Yes, good evening po. Good evening.
Good morning, yeah.
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, no problem, no problem. We're just visiting here. You are the early birds. I encourage the new ones to come in early. That way I would actually get to know you and before everybody else comes, So yeah, tell us about you. Just stay with professional information. Avoid saying about if you're married, you have kids, don't say those, because they're not supposed to ask you about personal information, because you don't want to create a bias. You don't want them to, oh, let's not hire this because of this, So just give them professional information, your degrees, your experience, why do you want to come here, teaching philosophy. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Lorena Serna, a graduate of Bachelor in Elementary Education, and I also graduated a master's degree, major in Early Childhood Education, and I have been teaching for 10 years in public school and currently handling a grade 2 student. And my 10 years of experience, I also taught all subjects like English, mathematics, Filipino, MAPE. The subjects here in the grade 2 subjects I taught already. And
So yeah, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
And my is I can build the trust and relationship with my students and also have a good leadership skills. And I also a coordinator in our Girl Scout and Boy Scouting in our school.
What is your teaching philosophy and why do you want to come to the US?
My teaching philosophy is I want that my no child should not leave behind, and I treat all the childs equally, and also have the building trust and relationship with my student is the one reason why I should want to is the also one of my philosophy.
Okay, so you might want to philosophies, yeah. What you might want to say, I believe in the importance of, my philosophies include my belief of the importance of, building a trust relationship with my students because it's my way of knowing them. And when I get to know them, then I'm able to personalize or customize my lessons in order to address their needs, something like that. But you did well. That was good. And then why do you want to come to the US again?
I want to, yes, because I want to share the culture of the Philippine culture to the US students.
Very good. How about you also learning? You might want to also I want to learn for myself. What do you want to learn? What do you
I also learn the culture of the US US culture US.
Yeah,
student.
culture, yeah. You also want to learn some cultural the cultural differences maybe or similarities between the Philippines and the US, something like that. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah, I think you just need to make that smoothen it out even more and just practice it because that's usually their first question. Usually they say, introduce yourself, or they would say, tell us about yourself, or tell us about your journey, your professional journey. That's kind of the same kind of information, but I have a 3 things that I give everyone, and if you're part of our chat group, I have posted this, and also if you got my relevant information file, it has all the links to your practicing for interview. That's really important because most of the interview questions are there, and I put the possible answers. The Josephine videos, there are 2 videos in there. There's a link to it that I put. And then there's Josephine, Maria, and I were talking about, we're interviewing her, and then we are giving her some tips on like what to add or whatever. But she did so well that I asked her, like, can I use this as a sample for the other applicants? And so you might want to watch that. And then there's one so the PowerPoint information plus the Josephine video, and then there's one more a file that's like just kind of little tips like be on Zoom 10-15 minutes early. So if you have technical difficulties, then you get it solved. Be there early than late, and then dress professionally. So I would put like this one here. I'm just wearing shorts down here, but I have like a top and a jacket or something, and it just and make sure that your background is professional. Looking, and then like for example, I love the background there, but since you already have designs there, I would do a solid. you cannot compete with your background because you've got both nice designs, but they are kind of competing because you have two different designs. So I would say do a solid color if you want to. I mean, that's just me, because when it gets the point where you're distracted, then instead of listening to you, I'm looking at your background. You know, you distract the interviewers. So I would make it like pretty neutral, I guess, you know. So that's just a little tip, but that might put you at an edge. And just visit, like I said earlier, visit with them, just kind of like you and I talking right now. Just pretend like you're talking to me. And sometimes in the big schools, you might be shocked when they open the screen on the Zoom, there might be 12 people staring at you, you know, 8 people, whatever, because how they do it is in the big schools, they have several schools, right? Like Little Rock, our capital, has 123 elementary schools. So you have principals there that might be needing teachers. So they are invited to come and interview a pool of applicants. So then they will see which one is a good fit for this school. So they will kind of divide it up. Oh, this one might be good for your school or whatever. So that's why they want to be efficient and be there as a team, you know. And sometimes it might be like some schools believe in like having a collaborative leadership, which means that they're going to have the administrators and the teachers be involved. My sister is a teacher here too, about 30 minutes from here. And she's always involved in the interview process of the new teachers. And so they will ask you questions because they might be your team person, like they're looking for a 5th grade teacher. And she was a 5th grade teacher, so she would be in the committee. And then they would be asking you questions, kind of teacher questions, you know. And so be ready about that. Don't be shocked and don't be shy. Just like, you know, and I would take notes on like their names, because they would say like, I'm Merlina McCullough, I'm the curriculum director. So you put shortcut CURDIR, you know, and then you put the next, because it's so impressive when you start calling them with their last name, Miss McCullough or Miss so-and-so, Miss Smith, you know, thank you, whatever. And so you put it down. I would get, if there are 4 people, I would do 1, 2, 3, 4 in my notes. And I would make sure that I know their role, because their questions are going to be related to their roles. If I'm curriculum director, I'm going to be asking you things about curriculum. If I'm the principal, I'm going to be asking you things about how do you deal with angry parents? How do you deal with students that are unmotivated? You know, things like that. So if you pay attention to the role, then you kind of know when they ask you a question, you know how to tailor your answer in order for that teacher, that person interviewing you to get it, right? And then what are the things that you have? Yeah, look at the camera. You know, your camera is like that person's eye. So do not be like doing this. Some of them were like rocking, or some of them will be like standing around and just moving a lot. No, be still and be looking at the camera like you're just going to talk to me like that. Okay. And any other questions? Do you have other questions that you have for me? You have, since I'm talking to you right now, Lorena, do you have a specific question that you want to know? Like, do you already have your passport?
Yeah.
Okay, good job. Don't say yeah, by the way. Yeah is very informal. You say yes, ma'am, or yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you have your passport already. Make sure that your passport is not something that is about to expire, because when you travel here or anywhere really in the world, you have to have at least 6 months left in your passport. So if there's already 5 months that experience or actually experienced by my exchange student here from Brazil, she was so excited she was going to go home and her passport actually expired. And so she had to be sent back to us. Good thing that we waited in the airport, until her plane leaves, because she started back crying because her passport actually expired. And so you don't want to do that. And you already got interview and so on. And they're like, oh, your passport expired. So be checking on those expiration dates. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what else do you have? No questions for me. You understand the process about, if you go to schoolspring.com, www.schoolspring.com, you can directly apply there, or mine. If you send me the information, your CV, your cover letter, and then your 3 reference letters, you will be part of my folder. You have a folder in my file that I'm sending to administrators. I'm sending them to other states and Arkansas. But don't depend on that. Don't put your eggs in one basket. You have to be proactive by also applying it yourself. I have a file that's called job postings that I have shared this. 50 states, and then all the different links to the different job postings. So you pick a state and then you apply there. I'm hoping you pick Arkansas, but if not, I hope that you'll be in the neighboring states. I got a lot of applicants that said they got interviews from Arizona, from New Mexico, from North Carolina. I got somebody that got a job in Texas, some in Florida. So they have gone different places, but I'm just hoping that you continue to attend our Zoom. That way we kind of get to know your learning, I was just telling earlier, if you're not here yet, that I have 10 people right now in my home. They are visiting. We're going to go on a picnic after the Zoom. And I don't know, how many are the teachers? I know these are their families, but how many are teachers? 7 teachers? 4 teachers, and then they brought their family, their husband and kids. And so I have a guest house that's attached to my house. So they're over there. I was joking. I said, we need a blender because they're over there. I have the 2 bedrooms. So they have the 2 families. And then they have, they have in the living room, I got big couches. So they were over the couches. Some of them are actually in the floor, but I give them some beddings. And it's like a little big camping thing, my house. But then they have 2 cabins by the lake that we're going to go. Because we are very far from the ocean. So we go to lakes here. So that's our little beaches here, is like, white sand, but it's actually artificial sand brought in because our Arkansas is landlocked. Landlocked means we are surrounded by land. You have to go to Florida or North Carolina and so on in order to go to a beach, or fly to California, or fly to Hawaii. Those are the good beaches to me. Florida's got the good beaches, like in the Destin area, but Hawaii's got the best because it's still the Pacific Ocean, which is like the Philippines. It's very clear, lots of sharks, but but it's very clear. My daughter lives there in Hawaii, so I love the oceans there. Okay, I got distracted, but anyhow, so so let's go to the next one. Thank you so much. Did an awesome job introducing yourself. Okay, so who's up next? Looks like Lorena is still here, but who's up next? Giselle, you want to call the next one for me, please? I think Verna never did.
By the way, Doc,
Huh?
Sir Mike is already in.
Who?
Sir Mike is already in. Sir Mike.
Sir Mike. Okay, Mike,
Mike
do you want to turn it over to Mike as our co-host, or Mike, do you want to just have Giselle to do it? Or it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, it's okay, it's okay, Doc. Good morning, Doc. Good morning, everyone.
I didn't know if Mike was mad at me because he has not been attending. So I'm like, did I say I want to do a reflection? Did I do something to offend him? But I know you're very busy. Tell us, Mike, about your experience with bringing your family here, and what are the things that they are liking or not liking. Do you mind sharing for us? Because Mike's family just arrived.
Yes, Doc. Good morning. As of now, my family is still adjusting here, the environment and everything, and also the body clocks are still, though it's I think already 1 week.
Yeah.
That they arrived here, and we're still preparing for everything, and my kids is already playmates.
Yeah.
Mama Maric's daughters, and also one of our neighbors here.
So they've been playing together now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they started playing yesterday.
Yeah, I saw your family going to Cordova and went to the supermarket, and you were showing
Yes,
some videos. Yeah. What do they?
yes, because
Yeah.
because last Sunday we had our Thanksgiving for arrival here, um, the housewarming, and also the car blessing.
Yeah, because you moved to a new house, Mike, or you're still with the rest?
Yes, in the apartment, Doc.
Oh, your apartment. Okay, you like it? Is it a
Yes,
2-bedroom?
Yes,
Two-bedroom?
Doc. Yes.
I love to come visit you guys when I come back. So
Yes, Doc.
yeah,
And we're planning also to visit you there, but
it'll be good.
this week will be a busy week for me because I have 2 days training in Bryant High School,
Okay.
and on the last week of June, it's in a Little Rock.
Okay.
It's a
You
3 days
bring in your
training
family with you, I hope, to the training. That way
Yes,
you
Doc.
can stay at the hotel and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the last week of July, I still have also another training.
Wow, Mike, they're just sending to all kinds of training. That's a good sign, by the way. They like you.
Yes, the special education director or coordinator, Miss Julie, is very proactive she's always asked me to attend different trainings about special education.
That's good. Because you're new
Yes,
at
and then
special ed. You've always been in technology, right? You're new and this is your first
yes,
step in special ed, yeah. And you
so,
graduated with your
and
special ed master's, Mike? You already graduated?
yes, well, Bachelor of Science in Industrial Education, major in Industrial Arts, and minor in Filipino, and master in Educational Management, and currently finishing Master of Arts in Special Education.
You are overeducated, Mike.
Ah.
Yeah. And anyway, so Mike was actually in you where you are now. Mike was there, was one of you guys, remember Mike? And then
Mhm, mhm.
few months later he was here, and then a few months later after he came, then he brought his family. So you are going to be getting a J1 visa, but Mike is getting H1B, which is like a path to green card. So you're one of the 4 lucky ones that they ran out of
Yes, yes.
they ran out of J1 visas. So I asked them that you can just do a H1B visa. By the way, I talked to Dr. McGee, your superintendent, yesterday, and that he was wondering why you all have H1B, what are our responsibilities or so on, you know.
Mhm.
And so I was explaining it to him and he understood. And I said, well, if we did not do the H1B visa, the J1 visas were gone at that time and you would have had to wait another year. And so that was the only
Yes.
option, I told him. So he seems to be understanding whenever I explained to him. They were more worried about like, who's going to pay for their whatever, you know. I think what happened with Mike's bunch is there were 4 of them. Mike's the only male, but the other 3 teachers, 2 of them were actually, I think, was it you and April, Mike?
Yes, Doc. Yes,
Yeah.
Doc.
The 2 of them were only given 1 year instead of the 3 years that you're supposed to get. And so I called my brother-in-law who's an immigration officer, and he said, Merlina, they are at their own discretion, whoever the officers in charge of their you know, interview, they have the complete power to make that decision. Nobody, he said he's a supervisor. I can't even tell them how to decide. They are very independent on that. So that was their decision. The other 2, you know, Dina and Johnson is here, actually had 3 years. But see what happened on J1 visa, on H1B visa, is that after your 6th year of having your H1B visa, you're automatically going to get your green card. Or if the school would actually, you know, already sent you the application to adjust your status, then you will get your green card. So some of them early, but if you don't do anything after 6 years, you will get your green card if you have H1B. The H1B visa is luckier than J1 visa, because J1 is actually more of a teacher exchange visa, that you are here to learn for 3 years and you're supposed to go back for 2 years in the Philippines. Of course, when you're being interviewed by the, you know, embassy, you have to say that, yes, I'm coming back. Because if you say you're not coming back because you want to learn more, it's going to be denied. Okay, it has to show that you actually have a tie back in the Philippines where you go back and explain yourself. But the reality is, in most states, is they have a shortage of teachers, so they have been giving waivers for those 2 years, that they would waive that. If you can get a waiver, there's a form. Then if you get approved of that, you can actually stay 2 more years. You actually can do 5 years. And if the school really likes you, maybe they will switch your visa from J1 to H1B, like Mike and them already have. And then after that, then you can be working on your green card once you get with the H1B, and then you will be here. You know, they will be here as long as they want. And then after you get your green card, you have 5 years to wait, and then you become a US citizen. So it's like a 10-year process, really, or less, a little less, for some to get your citizenship. Mine is a family-based petition. My husband, I was 19 years old then, and 87. My husband, we got married in the Philippines. So I got to come here as a wife, as a spouse. And so it was very fast. You know, we got married in July. I was here by October. But we didn't apply until August. And so, you know, he came back here around September, and then he came back again to, you know, to you know, bring, you know, to tell me that you're going to come with me back. So he had to go back and forth. But now the family-based visa, like my mom is here, she's a citizen, but she had applied for my brother. We have 2 brothers still left there. All the girls are here in the US, 3 girls here and 1 in Australia. So the 2 boys are still left in the Philippines and with families. So she had applied for my brother Armand to come in 2012. So this is 11 years ago. And then, so 11 years ago, and it's still not approved. But he's bringing 6 kids. He and his wife and 6 kids. So there's 8 of them. And so my mom's got a big house, so they're gonna stay with her. But it takes long now because of since 9/11 happened, they have really been very strict about, about who to bring in. And I think the Philippines at one time was actually on the danger list, like because of our Muslims and our rebels in the South, in Mindanao. So sometimes the Philippines is in a bad list really to watch for, some of the Filipinos coming in, especially the male, I think, is because are you going to be part of that, the rebels, the violent people there, folks there that would kidnap people. Are you one of those? They want to make sure that it is not, like Iranians, they are also careful with them. And of course, so any of the other countries that the US may not be as friendly with, they have to be careful. They're not going to judge it, oh, everybody in that country is bad. No, but they just be extra careful. Like they have to send it for extra verification. One of the Filipino husbands, actually, Maurice's, it's been 3 months or something before he's getting his social security number, because it was supposedly, I don't know how true this one is, to be sent to extra verification. And it's randomly done, they just randomly pick people that they need to have extra verification, which means that it's going to take longer. Because normally your social security number, once you come here, which is really your number one thing you have to get immediately so you can get paid, is the first week you apply it, maybe the second week. Is that true with you, Mike? The second week you got your social security number? Is that
Yes, Doc.
Yeah. And then he got
Yes,
his credit cards and so on. So all these happy moments.
Yes po. The bank account, my state ID.
Her driver's license here, right? Because even though you were driving,
Yes,
you have to retake
recently,
it.
yes.
And then he
Yes,
got a brand new car. So they got all kinds of things happening in their lives.
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc.
Yeah, most of them, the others that have not been driving in the Philippines, they would come to my house, and I have this little, we call them side-by-side car, 4-wheel drive, very easy driving car and vehicle, and we would drive in my yard, and then they would practice that. And when they feel comfortable with that, then they would drive my car to practice, of course I'm with them or somebody would be with them that's a licensed driver. And then that's when they feel comfortable about how the car moves, how so like Jing, for example, I remember Jing is here. Jing was like practicing. What was it? You're practicing with my vehicle, right? And then before you get your driving license, you were practicing in my yard. Are you one of them? Yeah. And now she's here. She's got her driver's license. They got their own, truck now, and she got her husband here. So J1 visa is for you, and J2 visa is for your family. And different cases, some of them, like Abby, she actually already brought her husband, applied for her husband when she came in, but she didn't bring him. He came later, but he got approved already. And I think they are given 6 months to come after approval. But how many months are left before Abby's husband came after?
A month, because
A month.
She applied her husband together with her.
Yeah. So what the advantage, and according to Abby, is that when you get interviewed and your husband's there, the two of you will go to Manila, and then the question for the husband is so easy because
there was no question.
there was even no question for him.
Yeah. He was just standing beside her.
Come here, let's talk to them if you don't mind. I'm gonna give this to Leslie. Leslie's here. Okay.
Oh my God. Hi guys. I'm Leslie. I'm a frequent visitor here in Merlina's home, but my husband is here already, as well as my daughter. So with Ate Abby is my aunt. I call her Ate. With Ate Abby's case, she was interviewed together with her husband, so there was no question for her husband. He was just standing beside her. And then she was just asked, who is that person beside you? And then she just answered that that's my husband, and there was no question.
That's
for
it.
her.
Just ask.
But
Yeah.
with Junar, because there's a different case between Junar. Junar is my husband, by the way. So with him, because I did not do it together with him, so he was doing it with my daughter. So there was no question for my daughter also. She was 9 years old that time. There was no question for her. But with Junar, he was asked like 7 or 8 questions.
What kind of questions were asked?
Where it's all based on the DS 2019.
Just
You just have to
verify.
look at it and then study your DS 2019. All of the information that are in there.
Your personal stuff,
Yeah,
right?
personal stuff. That's all that you have to familiarize. I mean, with him, he was asked if what is he gonna do in the US. Of course, so he was like saying, "I'm gonna follow my wife. She's teaching in there already. Then I'm just gonna be in there to support her." But he wasn't saying that I'm gonna work in there or anything.
Don't say
like
that because your
No,
wife
you
should be,
cannot
yeah.
say that because I am the J1. I should be providing for my family, for my J2 in here. So all you have to do is to tell the anybody in there who will be interviewing you that, you know, I'll be there and I'll be supporting my wife, especially emotionally, you know, because she's gonna be lonely and she'll be missing us. So we'll be there together with her. So that's how he did it. And then I think he was asked, what school is she in? Is she teaching?
Your address? No.
No, he was not asked about my address, but most of the time it's just the basic questions and you have to answer right away. You cannot be like, you know, act like if you're
you don't
confused
know.
or whatever. Just be quick
Natural.
about your answers and be natural for you to pass the interview. But I don't think anybody failed.
I've not heard of anybody.
No, I don't think.
The
but
family here.
yeah, no.
I've heard of applicants that had.
Yeah, a lot of J1 applicants are, you know,
Not-
being denied,
yeah.
but when it comes to J2, most of the time they will get to pass
Yeah.
the interview.
Yeah, I'm very quick, right?
Yeah.
How long was it before he got?
Oh, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
he
2
was
weeks
there.
after the interview, he was in. They were in here already.
Yeah, you just have to buy their ticket. Yeah.
And Merlina was the one. Dr. Merlina was the one who was with me when we picked them up in the airport because
That's
I don't
nice to
have
see.
any vehicle during that time.
Now
so-
they have a nice vehicle.
Yeah, but during that time, it was Dr. Merlina who came with me and picked up my family from the airport. So
Yeah,
I'm forever
that's cool.
indebted to Dr. Merlina,
No.
and I'm gonna take this opportunity to tell everybody. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
Well, the reason that I am in here and my family are in here because of Dr. Merlina. I heard about this opportunity last year. I think that was January. And then so it was Maria actually who told her aunt about this opportunity, and then her aunt shared it to us, and then so we sent Dr. Merlina our resume, our cover letter, and all of the things that are needed, like some of our certificates from school. I even sent you that one.
Yeah, you don't have to now. I just
Yeah. So I sent a lot of things to Dr. Merlina, and then we were the first. I think it was Maria who were the first one that we did. But I think I and Ati Abby were the second
batch.
Yeah, second batch.
Mhm.
So we sent her our paperwork, and then a few weeks after, I think that was March or February, we got a job. An interview with some principals in here. I was interviewed with 2 principals, 2 schools in here, and then prior to that, we were practicing our interview with Dr. Merlina. We were so stressed because we were like thinking, oh, we will be having an interview tomorrow, and then we don't know what to answer. We don't know what the questions would be, and then so we were just trying to send you an email, hoping that you're still awake because it was already 1 in the morning in here in the US, and it was like 12 noon in the Philippines. And she replied immediately and say, would you like to have a practice with me right now? And they were like, oh my God, she's still awake. So we had a practice with her, and the rest was history. Everything went well. And then
2 offers, yeah.
Yeah, I got 2 job offers, and then I was only interviewed
2 times.
2 times, and I got it because of Dr. Merlina.
Oh no,
I
it's
know
not-
that was
it's her. She's really good.
I'm not really a natural. The first time I'm still having I'm still having some a hard. It's still hard for me to communicate in this language. Sometimes I would always tell Dr. Marina that this is the most the problem for me is really the language barrier, because I'm not really, I was teaching in the Philippines for 11 years. I was teaching 3rd graders, and we have to use our mother tongue, right? I think, I think everybody in here are from deep ed. So I was using my mother tongue, so it was hard for me to communicate. But then I attended the Zoom every Friday in the Philippines.
Back then it was Friday, yeah.
Yeah, every Friday. That was back then in the Philippines. I attended it every Friday. We would end up at 12 midnight most of the time because we were talking a lot of things. And then it was from in there that I get to develop my communication skills. I know I'm not that good yet,
No,
but I'm
she's really
getting
good.
there. And thanks to Dr. Marina. And actually, she's also visiting me every month in my school. She is one of our consultants in our school. And so every now and then, it's hard for me to adapt to teaching techniques, and
It's also high school.
yeah, and I was like an elementary teacher for 11 years, and I'm already teaching high school in here. I mean, I was teaching 10th through 12th graders. So it's really hard for me, but Dr. Marina was in there to help me. So I'm just gonna be bragging about her today because I don't know what will I do without her. When it comes to my paperwork, you were the one who did it also, right?
I forgot. I don't know.
No, you were, because you
Okay.
helped me with how to find my visa sponsor.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What are the things that I need to do? Like when my school was not responding anymore because they were so busy, and then you were there to communicate with them.
Yeah.
I was like, you were the bridge.
okay.
She was really the bridge. So I'm really like thankful to Dr. Merlina and to everybody who is attending this Zoom meeting. Just hang in there,
Yeah.
because
You can do
you
it.
will get here.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll get here,
You
yeah.
will get
Be
here. And
patient.
thank you so much, everyone. It's so good to see you all. And I'm gonna go back to cooking our breakfast.
They're cooking breakfast. Thank you, Les.
Thank you.
Hey, Leslie is very humble. She's actually one of the most fluent teachers here. She's one of the best teachers I have observed, but she's very humble about it. So anyway, but stay humble. Humility is a really good thing to have, especially in your interview. You don't want to be bragging. You want to be humble about it. And it's always about kids. It's not about you, it's about kids. So anytime that you would answer, think of students. Don't think about yourself. Think about what will the students get out of it? What will you learn from the students? You're not just going to be the giver of knowledge. In this 21st century, we teachers are no longer the giver of knowledge. We are helping students solve problems or helping students find resources, because the internet is a very big resource that they could use. So if you teach students how to use internet, like for example, research, what are the valid websites? What are some websites that, acceptable? Some of them might be giving bad information. And so, for example, here, having research K-12 is a common core expectation that the students need to be researching. Monthly, you have a research project. That's what I did when I was teaching. That's even before common core. But anyway, so you have your research, and then a lot of times you may want to partner with your librarian. Librarian here is called a media specialist, and they usually partner with teachers on the research. So that the librarian and I would be collaborating and saying, hey, our theme for this month is this. So can you pull me some books that are this? And then she would put it in a cart, and that cart would stay in my room the whole month that I'm doing my research. So she's very big support for me. And my students have those, instead of going to the library for all these things related to my topic are in the library cart, and it's in my room. And so every month we have different ones. And of course, every week too, I have other things that I do that she also adds me more books in my room. So anyway, so those are things that are important. And Leslie and Abby are really good examples of successful interviews that they have done. Both of them got 2 job offers. She had to choose, and it's so funny because it's like, it was Leslie that said, can you tell me which school should I choose? And I said, Leslie, I can't make the decision for you. You have to do your research. I want you to go to their websites. I want you to, read everything there. Go look at their board, their board information. Every month they have a board meeting. Read about it. I want you to look at their handbooks and, just look at their website. And because every school district in Arkansas is required to have a website. And we have required information we have to put in. We have to put in like the salary schedule of teachers. You will know what everybody makes. A new law in Arkansas now is that every teacher has to get, new teacher or everybody had to get $50,000, which is like 2.5 million. That is what you're going to get for 9 months. So 9 months of work, you get 2.5 million. That's about 8 to 10 times what we get in the Philippines. But you have to remember, you're earning dollars, but you're also spending dollars. So when you figure out how much, you spend about $500 to $700 possibly on your housing and your food and your utilities, which is electricity, water, gas, all that. So, you'll still have extras that you could send home, or you could pay for, if you borrowed money to come here, then you can still pay within 3 to 4 months. You should be debt free, and then just enjoy, because they are able to buy their car the first year they're here. They're able to, to get their car because once you have been here for at least 6 months, you have built your credit enough. And that's why, I encourage them to get a credit card. That way you build your credit, because no credit is bad credit. And credit is like a number assigned to you. I think 850 is the highest, but anyways, assigned to you that would tell businesses what kind of creditor you are. So if you have 750 and above, anybody will just lend you money in the bank or to lend you, money to buy a car and so on. So good credit is really important here in the US. So build it as soon as you're here. And of course, Mike was talking about, Social Security. You cannot get your pay unless you have your Social Security number. That's a big first thing. The bank will not let you open an account without your Social Security. And then with your Social Security number, you can also then apply for your state ID. And state ID is like, looks like a driver's license, but it's just for ID purposes only. It really looks like a driver's license, but it would say Arkansas, which is officially issued, state issued ID. It's like a cedula for us, except it has got picture on it and all the other information. It's laminated. And so, but that is one thing that they always ask whatever paperwork that you do here, they always ask for your state ID, state issued ID. So that's a really important thing that you should do immediately when you get here. Anyway, so why I want the teachers to come and actually talk to you, because I want you to know it could be real. I mean, it is something that you can achieve, that you can get this. But the key is doing well on your interview. Okay, doing well in your interview is a big key. That's why, Abby and Leslie, very good. They're very good at answering questions. Like when I did a mock interview with them, and I can do that with you if you're nervous, you can just email me and say, hey, Dr. McCullough, can we do a mock interview? The other day, I think I was fishing or something with my husband, and somebody, I bring my phone with me, I was checking my messages, and he said, can you do a mock interview with me? So I was doing a mock interview by my pond. I have internet everywhere in the US. So I was just like mock interviewing with him, and he said that really helped him. Whenever I was like, asking him questions, and when he answered, I would say things like, you might want to add this, or you might not want to say this, like I do with you whenever you're talking to me. And that's something that should help you, because in every meeting that we have, we always talk about the 5 core propositions. And the 5 core propositions, if you are taking notes, you may want to really take notes on this. The 5 things and somebody already mentioned this, knowledge of students. You have to know your students in order for you to build relationship, and that's called a trust relationship. So the students trust you, you trust them. And that's why you have to, know more about your kids through looking at their cumulative records, or their CUMs here, they call it, and then asking questions to themselves, to the kids and to the parents. A lot of times to get to know my kids, I even attend their extracurricular things. Like if they're in karate, they would invite me, I would attend. And then sports, I would watch, who played good sports, or I would brag on them on Monday, like, hey, you did so well on, on your Friday night game or whatever. But that's getting to know your kids and the parents as well, and the community. So that's knowledge of students. Second one is knowledge of content, or your subject area. That's your pedagogies. By the way, it said pedagogies. Now, I think we have a different accent in the Philippines, but it's pedagogies and pedagogical information or methods that you have, the strategies that you use in your classroom. Those are pedagogies, and that's knowledge of your content. So 2 things are knowledge of student, knowledge of content. And the third one is about assessment. How do you know that your kids need this? So do you do KWL? Do you do what they know, what they want to know, and what they have learned? So that would be one way that you would know. So you have to make sure that you have assessment before, during, and after. Some of the teachers have this misconception that I only assess at the end of my, we have a unit review, we have a unit test. No, you have to assess before, because you have to know what your kids need. Right? And here is Common Core. They don't call it Common Core. It's called Arkansas State Standards, but it's really Common Core. They just edited it some, but it's actually Common Core. So you have to know those standards in order for you to know what to teach and how hard, the complexity level, the depth of knowledge, the DOK, depth of knowledge that you need to get to on what grade you teach. Because they might be similar standards, but they're gonna be on a higher Bloom's taxonomy. So instead of comprehension, it might be on evaluation, or it might be on synthesis. Now remember, the blooms had been switched, you know, instead of evaluation being the top, is going to be the synthesis is now higher. So synthesis is creating something new. So if you're having your kids create a product, create something, that's the highest level, because they have evaluated already and they're making something new. So anytime you have your kids create something, you have reached the highest level. So which means hands-on. You're going to do hands-on projects, hands-on things. So you got your knowledge of students, knowledge of content, assessment, and the last two are easy because they rhyme. It's a reflection. That means you're going to think about you teaching. How did it go like I thought? Was it successful? What are the things that I should add later? I should take out later, you know, things like that. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What changes do I need to make if I have to teach that again? You constantly reflect. As teachers, we are the most reflective people. We're always in our mind, kind of the cogs and the wheels are always turning and seeing about things that I could do better. I actually would take notes on my plan book or whatever. Now I would do Google Docs and I would write down my learning. So the next time I teach this particular lesson, I need to make sure I bring in this resource, I bring in a speaker, I would have my kids do a virtual tour online, or, you know, things like that, that you could enhance whatever it is that you're teaching. Okay, so make that teaching meaningful. You do not just give them a worksheet. You know, they call them sit and get or drill to kill. No, don't use those. You know, anytime that your lesson is, you know, whatever it is that you're teaching, bring it to real life. What does this look like? So if we are teaching about the weather, what does this look like in real life? We have meteorologists. They predict the weather. So I'm going to bring somebody that's an expert on that. I'm going to have them talk to my kids, you know, about it. So if you have somebody in school that's really big on that or good at it, have them to come in and talk about it. There's a parent, grandparent, okay? And then you reflect. So you have your reflection. By the way, having those speakers and so on would lead to our last one, which is collaboration. So you are collaborating with others. You're collaborating with your colleagues. My sister and I collaborated a lot, and my colleagues, my friends, whatever in school, or, you know, experts that I do. And I mentioned this before, where I brought a Japanese lady in town that, you know, she and I were friends, and she passed away now, but I would always like want to know about Japan with her. And she taught me how to do sushi. And so then I said, hi, I'm going to be doing a Japanese unit. Can you come in and talk to my kids? She came in there with her kimono. You know, it's really cool. And then she taught us about the tea ceremony, and we sat there, and we made haikus, and we did all kinds of Japanese information, but we were so much on the, you know, ambience there is about Japan. You know, it really feels like we're in Japan, because that's what the experience I want the kids to have. And the kids still remember that. You know, some of them are adults now. They said, Miss McCullough, you remember that time when the Japanese lady came, you know, or you remember that time that we were cooking something because we were doing a multicultural unit, you know, or we came in there and wear our suit because we were meteorologists, or we were doing a commercial, and, you know, and so acted like a dog because I was doing a dog commercial. And they would go and do a commercial of a local business, you know, things like that. Make it real for the kids. Okay, don't just do it like really a lame way. Make it meaningful and impactful, because those are the things that your kids would remember. So some of the schools might ask you to do a lesson. So make sure that you do a lesson that's gonna be meaningful in real life, something that's gonna, you know, kind of touch them, impact them. Okay, learning that would be an important thing. Anyway, so let's review. Knowledge of students, knowledge of content, then the middle is assessment, and then the last two are reflection and collaboration. Now, why are these important? Hang on. Let me get some tissue because I'm over here sweating. It's very hot in here, and I'm wearing long sleeves, so that's my problem. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm back. So those 5 core propositions will guide you as you get your interview. For example, if they're asking you about how do you deal with angry parents? So you need to think, I mean, I would do maybe another example would be like unmotivated kids, or kids that are kind of lazy, but you don't want to say lazy. Unmotivated kids, they have the potential, but they don't want to show you. So you need to think about the first one, knowledge of students. So you say, well, I will get to know the student. So make sure, for example, it's John. So I want to make sure that I get to know John by looking at his CUMs, at his cumulative records. Maybe I would talk to John's teacher from last year. That would help me. And then all that. So by the time I talk to the parents and whoever, you know, special ed child, I'll talk to the special ed teacher and so on. And so once you gather your information, you have knowledge of that child. So now maybe that would help them, that would help you decide on your knowledge of content. What are the things that you could teach in order for John to be successful in your classroom? You know, one example that I've always used is that I had student K, I do not want to say the name, just K, and he was very unmotivated. And he was kind of a little bully. You know, he was very big. He was way bigger than me. I was fourth grade teacher at that time. He would just like, you know, getting these kids riled up. And so I really want to reach him. So what I did was I got to know that his mom was a nurse, and you know, I talked to the other teacher. They said, oh, poor you, Merlina, you know, you're going to be teaching so-and-so, you're going to have a miserable year. And I said, not me. I'm going to make sure that he's successful in my classroom. And he was. You know, this kid I found out was really big on flight, was big on airplanes, anything airplanes. He was so crazy about, read about airplanes and so on. But I said, my husband is a pilot. Now, he's a hobby pilot, so he had a plane. So he would be, I'm like, so Kyle, I heard that you like airplanes. Do you know that Mr. McCullough is a pilot? I said, oh, he is? And he was so excited. And I said, yeah, in fact, I'm gonna ask our principal if I could change the unit, the flight unit in the beginning of the year. I'm going to ask and see, because you have two other teachers that are teaching fourth grade. So we have to kind of stay together. So I asked the other two, he said, no problem. We just have to get approval from the principal. So I did that for Kyle because I really want him to be on my side. You know, I want him to succeed because I want to build that relationship with him. And I explained it to the principal. I said, you know, so-and-so, you know, oh yeah, I know Merlina, poor, you know, I'm like, well, that's okay. He will be fine. The flight unit was so successful. He got to go and watch Mr. McCullough do a pre-check before we fly. And his goal was going to be to fly with him and with his mom, of course, there. And he was able to, but it took him like months, but he built up to it. I was like, if you do this and if you're successful, you get to come to my house. You know, we had a swimming pool. So he was like, you get to swim with Jet. You know, he liked that part. And then later on, like, okay, a whole month of no, you know, you didn't get in trouble. You can go, you know, see Mr. McCullough do a free flight. You know, 2 months you get to fly with your mom, you know, all that. So it built there that this kid became like a family friend, really, and a mom, you know, because he got to see an inspiration. You know, Mr. McCullough, he just adored Mr. McCullough, you know, like, oh my goodness, Mr. McCullough knows a lot about airplanes. You know, but I brought in like, you know, safety people, things that are related to airplanes, you know, so that's something that to me was a good example of knowledge of students. I got to know that this child, although he really, I found out was smart, he just wasn't showing it to the other 4 teachers that he had because they really did not get to him. I mean, he really felt like, and he told me this later, I really felt like you're the first teacher that was really interested in knowing me and what I want to know. You're the first teacher that really got to know me. You know, and you kids should feel that way, that you want to know about them. And that's why as a teacher, I also want to share about myself. You know, I would share it with them. Like, for example, if I have a bulletin board I always have a bulletin board about their picture and so on, and they have to write something about themselves. And I also put myself there. You know, if I have a bulletin board about the travels or your summer vacation, whatever, I also put mine there. You know, so they also get to know me. It's just a one-sided thing. They also got to know me and they'd feel more comfortable with me. You know, some teachers feel like, oh, this is my personal life. I'm not going to share it with the students. Not me. I share my phone number just with the teacher, with the parents. You know, some of them, you know, I know you're encouraged not to, but back then it was okay. And so they, you know, they can call me anytime and so on. They want to set up a meeting with me during my prep time, my period where the kids are in special classes or at the end of the day. And so when you have to deal with parents, for example, angry parents, for example, that also will help you, you know, to know what are the things that you know about this parent? You know, so knowledge of students, knowledge of parents are important. And then you decide on the strategies based on what you know, and then you assess. That's my assessment. That's my pre-assessment of him. Was like, this child, you know, I get to know this child. I want to know what he you know, what he needs for my class. And then so I was assessing the part there. And then during the lesson, then I was also seeing like, what are the things that he, you know, that he wants to know more about? What are the things that he seemed to like not care about? You know, so, you know, you're assessing. At the end, of course, I have both verbal and written, you know, assessment things that I did. And then, of course, I reflected. And then, of course, all these collaboration pieces with the mom and the other people that came to my classroom and talk about flight, including Mr. McCullough. And so those are my collaboration pieces. Those are things that I brought. Now you can put other resources too, online thing, virtual tour, you know, to different things with flight, maybe some museums. Most of the museums here in the US have virtual tours where you actually would feel like you are in that museum, but it's a virtual thing. Your students can be there looking at galleries and so on, relating to your topic. So you can, you know, Google those and use that as your resource. You can have a tour of the White House. You know, we're talking about government and so on. You can have your students tour the White House and showing them it's a very well done tour, and you feel like you were in the White House. You know, so whatever it is, that topic that you're doing, you know, get the collaboration piece, get the resource piece at the end, you know, make it more, I guess, make it more meaningful and make it bigger than what it is. And my sisters and I are known for that. We always kind of go overboard on things that we did, you know, from her, like my funny thing with her about her dissecting chicken. I mean, the mummifying a chicken. Mummifying chickens, and they buried in the yard and not very deep. And then the next day the principal was like, oh, there's all kinds of bandages and things in the yard. And because the animals were digging it up. And my sister forgot to tell them that we were mummifying chickens. So anyway, so that was a learning. But anyhow, so that was the 5 things you have to, you know, whatever answer that you have on the interview, be thinking about the 5 core. That will guide you, because when you do the, you know, the parents will be involved in your collaboration pieces. You're going to make sure the parents are there, right? And so your answer would be deeper and would also more encompassing, more complete if you're going to use your 5 core propositions. Okay, so if you did not learn anything from me, I want you to learn the 5 core propositions and you'll be okay. Those 5 core. Okay, so we have done, this is my 45th video. It's my 45th Zoom, because at the beginning last year, I mean, the first year with Maria time, we were doing every week. Like instead of Saturday, we were doing Friday night. Every Friday night, I was over there visiting with them. And, you know, instead of like having 2 hours, we would do 3 hours. I mean, they had questions for me. We were talking about, you know, culture shock, things that will shock you because you are so new here and you didn't know this. And, you know, students are different. They're not going to act like our Filipino kids. They're going to be like, oh, they're not going to listen to you, some of them, and loud, and they don't come in quietly. They're over there dancing, talking loudly to their friends and so on. So you have to establish your classroom management. These are my expectations. When you come in my classroom, this is a learning zone. Zip our mouths, finish visiting. And then, because when you come in, I'm going to have something already ready for you. Your bell ringers, or your, you know, whatever it is that you're going to have them do for just a few minutes while you are doing your attendance. You're not going to call your attendance one-on-one. Like you're going to not call 20 kids, 30 kids, you know, to say present. That's a waste of time. Okay, so you should be more organized. Maybe the first week you can do that because you get to know them. But after that, you should just have a chart where they are supposed to be there, and you just check it, you know, to see which one is missing really quickly, because they're gonna put here in Arkansas, you have a computer program that you have, eSchool they call it, and you have to put in the attendance. You know, just click. And then when I was teaching 11th grade English, I actually had every period, I had a student that I got to know that was, you know, smart and was always, you know, present. And then she or he had to ask for an assistant, pick an assistant to do it. But I have a board divided by the 6 periods that I have. And so for period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they have to put in the person, you know, the person's name that was missing. Kids would know, okay, yeah, and then I would check. I'm like, okay, there's 16 kids, there's 14 here, so I should have 2 names up there. And then it's very quick. They'll do it. They'll just be by the door, and then they get in before they go to their bell ringers, and very efficient for me because I just look on the board and double check, make sure I have all the numbers right. And then that's it. That's my very quick roll call. Okay. You will be graded really low if you're calling them by name, you're wasting 5 minutes of your time to be calling them. And some of them got creative and have, other things that they would say, but that's still a waste of time. American supervisor, American administrators would think of it as a waste of time. So that's a big tip for you. First week of the school, that's understandable. You get to know them. After that, make some seating charts, and put all those kids' names on there. And a seating chart would also be assigning them, seats. Because if they just talk, would you just sit them, especially the American kids, if you sit them with their friends, they're going to talk and they're going to ignore you. And so I have one teacher that was really organized. She had this little index card and she put 1, 2, 3, period, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And she put the name of the kids there for period. Okay. Because here they only have like, every child has their own desk. It's not like 4 people, 3 people sharing. So that child's desk would be used by 6 people from the 6 periods. So these are the people that would be in that desk. Every period would have a different person there. And so, and that's easy for you to check that the students are in their right seat, because I make it as a reward for them to sit with their friends. So if I would say, you know what, if nobody's name on the board because everybody behaved themselves on Friday, we're going to do some projects, some little paired work. I'm going to let you pick your own friend. You don't have to stay in your group. You can get to pick your friends that you want, so that would be an award, kind of a reward. I would use it because that's something that they want, especially in high school. And in high school, one thing that you also get to know here, if you put somebody in the front, that's like a punishment because they all want to go sit in the back. So that's one thing that you could say, hey, do you want to be sitting here in the front with me? I would say that. I also had when I was teaching elementary, I've taught all the grades except 10th and 12th. And so when I was teaching elementary, I would put 2 chairs or 3 chairs, however many stinkers or, misbehaved kids that I have in my room. I put them next to me sometimes when they're working because I want to know that I need to be able to check on them quickly. Or sometimes when I have rows of desks, I would put them in the 4 corners. So I have to make myself walk and make sure that I check on them, and I don't put them in the same groups. If I have 4 groups, 4, I would make sure that they are spread out. 1 here, 1 group here, 1, person here, because sometimes they would be clashing with each other. And that's just going to give you some, opportunities to waste time because you have to constantly be a referee between these 2 students, So anyway, so those 5 core propositions now I'm going to review. Who can tell me the 5 core propositions? And I always give rewards. My kids would always have I had a treasure chest full of goodies there. I put pencils, I put special notebooks, I put all kinds of things that I buy cheap, in a yard sale here, or Goodwill. And they would get to go to my treasure chest. And they have a time limit. They have to do, you cannot be over there on the whole period looking for a prize. And, that's something that I would put little coupons, no homework, or, you only have to do half of the homework instead of 10, you will do 5, things like reduced homework. And then homework free is one. So, so those are little coupons that they really like to have too, especially if Thursday and Friday night, because they have games, they have sports on Thursday and Friday night. So they don't really want homework then. And as a teacher, Wednesday night here, most of the churches have Wednesday night service, mass type thing. So I usually do not give homework on Wednesday night here because I know that the students are going to be in church till late, because a lot of churches also have little classes, Bible classes and things. So I always gave my kids break on Wednesday night, and I try not to give homework on weekends. I want them to enjoy their weekends. My first 2 years, 3 years of teaching, I wish I could go back and apologize to them. I was such a slave driver. I was teaching I have a packet for them on Friday night, packet of their spelling. They have to practice it 3 times or whatever, practice on whatever it was that I would have them to practice. I have a packet every Friday night. And the kids, I did not realize, was just dreading it. And one of my friends happened to have a kid in my class, and they said, So Merlina, why are you giving all kinds of of homework on weekends? We don't have a weekend. Our family wants to do this, but then they have to get your packet done. So then I was like, oh my gosh, because that's before I had a kid. So no, that was a lie. That was Stephanie was already 2, I think, 2 or 3. And so well, she didn't go to school yet. So I didn't know. I was not a mother of a child in school. So I did not know. So when my friend Sherry told me, I'm like, oh, okay, I will change that. So now I did not do, homework in the weekends. But what I did was I gave opportunities to the students to do some, your students that are a little slow, everybody has to be in their own pace, right? So I give them opportunity to get them done during lunch. They can come in my classroom, and eat lunch with me. I'm in my desk here and they could eat. I always make sure I'm not alone with a student. I don't want a student saying, oh, so-and-so did this to me. No, always have a pair, 2 or 3 at the same time. You can pick a friend to come with you and eat with me, but then you'll be working and eating, So because that way you don't have homework. For some kids, sometimes they don't have support at home too. So I don't want them to get in trouble just because they don't have the support, at home that the other parents do. Some parents would do their own the kids' homework. When I recognized their handwriting, one of them was my fellow teacher. So I actually went down there, hey, so-and-so, what would you do if your student did this? Use your handwriting. Well, my kid was stuck for 3 days and I was really feeling bad that he had all this homework, this work. So I just helped them. He was dictating it to me. It's like, nope, that's not acceptable. It needs to be in his handwriting, that. But the policy in our school then was if you miss 3 days, then you have 3 days to make it up. So they have 3 days to turn in the work that they missed. So but I don't know, everybody has a different rule. Every school forms their own rules. So that's why it's important for you to visit their websites and to look at their discipline policy, attendance policy. They're calling them student handbook. So there's going to be student handbook, teacher handbook, and there's even something about parents too. But anyway, those 2 things are so important because especially on the discipline policy, because everybody seems to do it differently. Of the 50 states in America, only 9 states still spank kids. Usually the principals spank them and you witness it. Don't ever spank children yourself, because if they have a mark and they go home, that the parents will take a picture of it and would sue you and they win, you lose your license, you have to register yourself as a sex offender, and you could never work in education again. And anytime you move, you have to register at the police station saying, I'm here. So you do not want to go there. Okay, so don't, avoid being with student alone, avoid spanking students. I would rather, later on, I actually, because I was one of the two teachers that actually would spank kids my first 5 years of teaching, and the principal I felt like, well, why am I passing the buck to the principal when he misbehaved in my classroom? Well, luckily for me, I didn't get reported or anything because it was legal. It was something that we had to call the parents okay with it. And the parents whose kids they don't want to be spanked, they have to sign papers saying, I do not want my child to be spanked, but my child will be suspended. So that's the option, 3 days suspension or spanking. And some parents would say, can I come to the school and spank them myself? I do not know if we never let them, but we get that request all the time. I said, no, that's not a good thing because it happened in school. We need to take care of it in school. But very many in Arkansas, very many schools do not do spanking anymore. They call them a discipline with dignity, which means that you're going to talk to the kids, you're going to do a timeout. And the rule for timeout is your age in minutes. So for example, if you're dealing with 7-year-old kid, they can be on timeout for 7 minutes. Timeout, you can put a desk in the corner where they have to be, facing away, whatever, by themselves. We call them an island in mine because we always have in groups that, okay, you want to go to the island by yourself and for 7 minutes. And I set the timer. I always have timer. Set the timer. Now you have Alexa. So you just say, Alexa, set it for 7 minutes. And then you will just stop and, child will you come back to where it is. Because if you don't do that, you might forget. The child may end up there all day, and the same thing with me in my home, my biological child with Jet got in trouble at 5 years old. I will set it for 5 minutes. Jet, when this one rings, 5 minutes, you're okay. But I want you to be thinking for 5 minutes what you did, because mama's going to talk to you about what you learned from being quiet over there, from your reflection, from your thinking. I want you to share with mom, what you learned. What will you do differently? Because you got in trouble for this today. How are you gonna use that in, later on? Are you gonna be doing the same thing? We don't want to make the same mistakes. I talk to my children like that even when they were little. Dwight, my husband, would say, "You're always teaching. Do you ever stop teaching?" I'm like, "Nope, it's in my blood." So when they were little, with the environment awareness thing, I would say, "Hey, M, look at the big M. Look at the big M for McDonald's. That's McDonald's." I was always doing that, and maybe that helped because my kids were, I guess, print ready by the time 3 years old. They were reading. Because I was always in the bathtub. I would have this giant, foam letters, and we were over there playing letters. All this. Go ahead and eat. Don't wait for me. Anyway, so that's what that's why on one of my reels this week or a few days ago was teach your children like they are your biological child. You don't mistreat your own biological child. So these are the strategies that I would do. I would pretend like that's Jet. Or I would pretend like that's Stephanie. And another strategy that's important is you have to imagine that child with their parent, invisible parent next to that child. How will you talk to this child if there is a parent that's invisible, but the parent is there? You have to imagine that. How would I speak to that child? Of course, you're not going to scream at that child. We have colleagues before that would scream. We could hear them in the whole building screaming at their children. And as an administrator, you are coming to my office and talking to me about it because we are not screaming at our kids. Do you scream at your own child? No. And I said, then why are you screaming to your students? Here I am, a 4'10", 4'9" Filipino teacher, administrator, and some of these teachers are like 6-footer, and I have to have them sit down. And sometimes sitting down, they're still taller than me while I'm standing up, but still, they have to sit down, and I'm over there talking to them. I'm very respectful about it, but I'm always saying, because I know my teachers too, I would know their favorite, soda or whatever. That's one of the things that I did as administrator. I would get to know my teachers, so I would give them their favorite soda or whatever, and then we'll talk about it. So what would you do differently? What did you learn from this? What's your plan? What's your next steps? And these are things you could use with your students too. So you have already reflected in the corner. So what is your plan? What would you do differently? Because I want you to learn from this. I'm not just saying that because I'm mean to you. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at I'm disappointed with the behavior. But you are still my student. I love you to death, but I want you to learn something. And I am very disappointed with the behavior, not of the child, of the behavior. And I think that's very important to say, that they know that you still love them. I mean, you still care about them. You're not going to be on my no care list just because you get in trouble. I'm very disappointed in behavior. Do not make the same choice. But you're still having the dignity, discipline with dignity, because you're talking to that child away from the classroom, away from anybody listening to you. It's going to be private right there outside the room. And I would just kind of whisper and kind of talk to that child when nobody could hear me, because that's between me and the child. One other thing that I did was I would like, when I do this, that's for you. That means a warning for you that you are needing to check your behavior. And then another child was on this side. I don't remember which child. Sometimes I would, things that I would do like normal, but I would say that child, that's actually a nonverbal, saying to you that you need to watch yourself. You need to, be with me, come back to me. But nobody knows but that child and me, that this is my code to you, my silent code to you, that I lost you, come back to me. So it's kind of neat. They feel so special because, that is a code just between my teacher and I. But that is something I don't have to get this child in trouble for. Because how many times did I have to do this today? I did it 3 times today. I want to challenge you the next time that I would only do it 1 or not at all. We need to improve this. I did it 4 times today. I have to get your code 4 times. So if you do this, I have sticker charts where they put their stickers, and then we reach a certain so many numbers, then they get to my treasure chest, motivational things like that, because they would work for you. Right. And so you have your children, for differentiation, of course, you have your children finishing at different times, right? Because some of them, oh my God, they're so fast. They're so early. So you have to be ready for that, for your early finishers, your gifted kids. Here they call them GT, gifted and talented. So your GT kids have to have something, like my favorite teacher in the world is Miss Kinain. I hope wherever she is in the world, I wish I would get to talk to her again, 5th grader. I was an advanced student in math, and she saw that I was way advanced than my classmates. So she did folders like lesson 1 to whatever for me. So when I get done with my work, I was doing my folders. And then when I did that, then she gave me a prize. And so I did so many folders that ahead of my students, for the year, that when she had a baby, and I think she was going to be gone for a month, I was the one teaching the kids, a 5th grader. I can't believe they did that in the Philippines. They would never do that here, but they could not find somebody to sub. So I was actually teaching because of the folders that I have. So she just told me what folder to do. And I was just teaching my peers about that. And so I got excused to go to the other class. I had homework that night because of what I missed from teaching the other class that she had. But I got to do that in 1 month. And that's why I think encouraged me to become a teacher. Although when I got my NCEE, and I thought that was high, so I went to law. I was a law student, pre-law student in San Jose, USJR in Cebu. So that's 2.5 years. I had a scholarship to finish law. And then I was going to be the editor of the paper. Then my husband, we were pen pals, my husband had proposed, and I said no, because I'm going to finish. I said, I have scholarship for so many years, and I have this, so nope, we're not going to get married. And then later on, he started talking to me, and he said, do you know that in the US, you actually will still can continue going to college if you want to. There's so many married people that would actually go to school, and it's okay. And if you want to do that, that's okay. When he did that, okay, I changed my mind. We can do it. But yeah, because you have to think about education, right? So when you talk to your kids, you have to, encourage that. My students here in America now too, and I'm very scatterbrained today, I'm sorry, but whatever, the big push is STEM or STEAM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And they put STEAM now too, because they add the A for arts, so they have STEAM or STEM areas, and the STEM area jobs are like welding or, things like that are not 4-year degrees, that are certificate. They call them a certificate. You get a 6-month, going to school, and you get your certificate, your culinary certificate to be a cook, and all this. And to be a nursing aide, that is like a certificate, so, but some of these STEM area jobs, they're actually making more money than us teachers, so they pay well. I think the minimum in the US now is maybe $10 an hour. So you make 500 pesos an hour. So if you work for 8 hours, you get $400, and that is 20,000 in 1 day for you. And that's just as a regular worker. But as a teacher, you make, I think, because in the summer, you get, if you are asked to go to a professional development or PD, they pay you for your daily rate. So most teachers would make about $40 an hour. I have to do my math. But anyway, so divided by so many hours and so on. So to average about $40 an hour, so 200 pesos for every hour you work. And so that's why whenever there's they're mentoring or having the tutoring at the end of the day, I think Abby was making $45 an hour, and she did 3 hours a day. So she did $135. So she did 3 times. So about $400, just extra money. And you can do that. And what I do with administrators here, I would ask them, hey, I know our local teachers, usually do not like to teach tutoring because they want to be spending time with their family. But our Filipino teachers may be interested in making extra money, especially if they're wanting to bring their family here. And so they've been giving it to our Filipino teachers, the tutoring and the extra money. I know that Maria was teaching some prep class for their ACT, their like NCEE preparation. And so you have, teach classes for that. And so she would teach things like that. And then I know most of the teachers here, that's why they're not able to stay for the week with me. They have to go because they're teaching summer school. And summer school, $40 an hour. And usually it's just half a day. So maybe from 8 o'clock to 12. So $160. That's what's that? 9,000 pesos, for just for just 4 hours every day. So they have it 5 times a week. So there's all kinds of opportunities here. And going back to the interview, you know, that's those are things that you need to know. That's why I want to teach you about what it is here in the US, so that you will be able to maybe incorporate that in your answers. So for example, you might say, I know in the US you do this, but in the Philippines we do this. I know in the US you have buses, school buses. In the Philippines, we don't provide buses. The parents have to come up with money for them to ride in different vehicles, may it be tricycle or motorcycle or whatever. They have to come up with it. And you have to know that our children are in poverty. Philippines is a, instead of third world country, you don't say that, you say developing country. Philippines is a developing country. And so the most folks, and you just say people, most folks are poor. And so they might not, you know, they really struggle. And that's why when they come to school and they don't have pencils or papers, it might be because they don't have the money to buy it. But although in the Philippines, we made that a priority. Parents always, you know, have the materials for the kids, you know, to send, you know, it's just not acceptable, right? To have no pencil or paper. But here, and this is something I would also need to apologize. I didn't know about the poverty thing too. I get kids in trouble for not having pencil or paper, because I'm like, you going to war without any tools? You know, I would joke like that, but later on, I'm like, well, you know, these kids are so poor. Some of them, and this was in the 1990s already, some of them did not have, you know, water still in their house. Some of them were still, you know, they have a river or something, they would still be taking, you know, like the Philippines, in the country, in the province. You know, some of them are living that way. Some of them now are living that way in the mountains here. And so we have homeless kids. I found out one of my students were living in an old school bus. And that's really sad, because, you know, it's very cold here in the winter. And so what did they do in order to make, you know, some kind of heating? Because you could freeze here, you know, especially if it's a snowy time. But, you know, you have to know your kids. One of my schools that I taught at, I was an administrator at, we had to have the children, I mean, the teachers, they're part of your orientation as a new teacher. They ride a bus, you know, with the rest of the other teachers, and we drive them around to the neighborhood of where our students are. And especially the ones who live in poverty. Their houses look like Philippine houses, you know, they're like so small and you know, a lot of mess and so on. But you have, as a teacher, you have to be empathetic. You have to learn. You have to learn that these are the kids that I'm teaching. I cannot be too rough on these kids that live in that neighborhood, because, you know, they just barely have enough food to eat. In America, thankfully, most of the churches have food. They call them a food bank, where they actually would give out free foods, free clothes, and so on to people. It doesn't have to be just members of their class, of their school, of their church, but it could be the community, where you go in there and you get your free things. And in the Philippines, I don't know if they set up like that now, but we don't do that as well as they do here. There's a lot of help here. Another thing in the school is that they have lunches, right? They provide them lunches. They have a cafeteria, big cafeteria, and we have school cooks, and they cook all this food, and they have a menu for the month, and they would share the menu with the parents, with the students, so they know what, you know, they know what that's the food for every day, because some parents might send lunch if the child does not like spaghetti or whatever it is that is there, and the child would rather bring lunch to school. So part of your job as a teacher in the morning is to check for lunch. Okay, raise your hand if you're going to be an eater today. Raise your hands. So 5 people, you can put it in the computer, and then how many brought their lunch, whatever, because you can do your math and just only ask for 1, and then you have that this one has to be given to the cooks, for the cooks to determine the amount of food that they have to prepare. So you have to do this first thing in the morning. That's part of your housekeeping. That's why you do, you know, immediately you have to get that done, because now with the computer, they just look at the computer and see how many numbers of students that they are going to cook for. Okay. So I don't know how they do it in the Philippines. Can somebody share with me, what do you do in the Philippines on the food right now? Do they bring their own food, or the cafeterias provided, or home economics room? Tell me about it. The students here would pay for it. It's like usually, hi, Dad, do you know how much are the food lunches in the cafeteria? $2.75 or?
Yeah, $3.79.
Oh, whoa, $3.79, close to $4, so close to 200 pesos is for the lunch. And see, what happened is, like, my kids were paying the full lunch So I would just write a check for $100, $200. I would just send it with them, and I would tell the lady there in the cafeteria that, hey, when it runs out, you let me know, and I will give you another check. That way they will eat for a long time, months. But now it's free. Some schools that are really lots of poverty, they provide free food now. So free food to kids and teachers. The Teachers Day, do they get free food? No. Teachers have to pay.
That's how I know it's part of it.
So the teachers have to pay. So they don't give free to the teachers. But what happened is that the more free students that you have, that means kids in poverty, the more money the state will give you to help you. So for example, if each child is worth $10,000, about $500,000 pesos for every child in your school. That's why they want more kids, right? That's the budget that will pay for all the teachers, for everything that you need. Well, if you are living in poverty, you have 100% that's free lunch, you got double. So you get 18,000. So you get 900,000 for each child in your school. So the school with poor kids would actually get more money. I know of a school one time, I was administrator, and they were calling our district like, hey, can you give us some ideas on how to spend money? Because we have to spend money by June 30th because the new money will come in July 1, because we have leftover money. We have what place can we send our teachers? They would send them to Florida, to Hawaii, to Vegas, whatever, to attend some big conference, national conference, because they have so much money left. When I was administrator, I would send my teachers, and I always budgeted like $500 per person, per teacher, because they have to pay for their hotel room, for their travel, for their food, and so on. So when I think about a PD and how many teachers, like I had to send people in New York. So I said, okay, then New York would be so expensive. So instead of 500, we have to think of like 800. That's our budget. 800, we're sending 10 teachers. That's $8,000 in our budget that we're going to have to prepare for these teachers. Of course, our secretary would be arranging for their flights, for their hotel, and so on, and their registration for the conference. They would pay for all that. And it's kind of like a free trip to the teachers. They love those. But just make sure, and accountability wise, we have them to come back and teach the others what they learned. So they have to take good notes, because they're going to do a training, in one of our PDs that time, that they have to share what they learned. Because if you didn't do that, some of them will just go on a tourist trip. They just go look at the Statue of Liberty or things like that in order to be a tourist. And I've known of so many administrators that did that. Like we have administrators conference for a whole week, and there were some administrators, I did not see them all week, because we would be in the same training, whatever. I've not seen them until Friday. They'd show up, and I'm like, what if their school would ask them what they learned? They have not learned much, because they have been gone. They've been staying in the room, or they've been doing, other things. Sometimes they just made it like a vacation with their wives and children, and all that. But the thing that some schools are doing is that if teachers, they give you a roommate, so there's two of you in the room, so because there's always two beds, and administrators, we don't have to have a roommate. We usually got our own room. So as an administrator, I could actually take, friends with me or whatever or my husband to go with me, so that after our training at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, then we can do other things. There's other things that we can do. For example, here in Arkansas, we have a hot springs, which is like hot springs coming from the water, underground, and they made it into a tourist town where you can actually take baths, like a commercial, like you come in there and they take care of you, and the water is kind of coming up from the springs. Hot springs, they call it. And they pamper you and so on. So, and it's very medicinal, like healing. So that's very commonplace for us to send our teachers for conference. They do a lot of conferences there. So when we get done, we would go to a spa, and the spa thing would include the hot springs, to the healing, and you soak in it and so on. And so they have so many different places, spa places that you can go in. I love the biggest one that they have, Arlington, because in the down in the basement, they have all kinds of like artists that would draw you and other activities down there in the basement. But anyway, yeah. So those are some things that we do here in Arkansas. I'm sharing that with you because I want you to be able to know that in the interview, they might ask you things that are like, oh, I didn't know about this. But Dr. McCullough shared with me that this is how they do it in the US. Okay, I'm talking too much. There's a strategy called 10-2. 10 minutes you talk as a teacher, and 2 minutes student talk. You have to give it back to the students. So as a presenter, I should have given it to you 10 minutes, an hour ago. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, with Zoom, it's different. But you do that. Try to tell yourself that I need to use my 10-2 strategy. And so in your interview, when you're being asked about strategies, to help students, you need to say 10-2 strategy. 10 minutes I talk or present my lesson, and then I give it back to the kids for 2 minutes to process. I might ask them to do something by pairs or something in your small group. Talk about this, share with this, and then report back to the rest of the class. So that's a 10-2 strategy. We need to do that. I have not had to talk so much. So let me see. Who is that? Neil? Neil? Where's my glasses? Yeah. Who wants to talk to me or ask me some things that you can process from the information I gave you? I gave you too much. I gave you some things about the cultural differences and the culture shock here. And I gave you, of course, the 5 core propositions, some experiences here. So what are the things that you like or you already know, validated your learning? I already know that from the movies, things like that. So talk to me. I feel like I'm just being a parrot here talking, and then nobody's talking to me. So
Doc,
yes, Giselle.
It's Giselle. I'd just like to share about our feeding program in the Philippines.
Yes.
Our government have funded only for the so what can I say? We call this one the wasted and the severely wasted. These are the undernourished children, Doc.
Oh,
They are
wow.
provided by the government. As of last year, they have 20 pesos budget per lunch, Doc. That's only for lunch. And for during the pandemic, they included the kindergarten pupils. They have that first. They have that for, I think that was 2015. That is good for 120 days. Then it lowered down to 60 days, Doc. But it is really helpful to the pupils, Doc, because there are really those pupils who are really uh who don't have something to eat, that they will go to school just to eat. So
Yep.
that's why it's really effective. We are
Very
hoping
good.
that everybody will be included in that program.
Okay. Well, see, what you can do to include that in your answer is that if they talk about differentiation, for example, and 70% of our poor student kids in poverty, 70% of them are kinesthetic visual, VK, visual kinesthetic. So that they have to be hands-on, they have to see something, visual aids or whatever. So for example, in the Philippines, they have this, we have a poverty kids. In fact, they're part of this, whatever, part of this program and so on. And then this is how I would differentiate in my classroom. I want to make sure that, that I would have it maybe in my special test to help them. And then I would have, make sure that I would do visual aids when I teach, and I have them to, because they need to be able to hands-on for the kinesthetic part. Then I do modeling clay or whatever, and they make something out of, so they have to form a sculpture or whatever it is that we're talking about. So you need to be thinking about the poverty and how you differentiate, and then how do you use that to use it in your classroom as a strategy. So that's good. Thank you for sharing that, Giselle. I did not know that you have that. That's a good thing, right? And so how do they determine on who's being served?
I am I would say I am a school-based feeding coordinator, Doc. I was the one to choose the menu every day.
Oh,
But we
nice.
have this book, or we have guidebooks that would tell us what food to
Sir?
cook for the pupils.
But
Yes,
who's gonna do the cooking?
the coordinator, Doc.
Oh,
If
okay.
the school is big, we can pay for the cook. But like me, I am located in a, shall we say, a mountain school, Doc. So the school is just small. So we have to utilize ourselves, the teachers. I was the one to buy all those ingredients for the food. Then I'll
Wow.
be the one also to cook. And we have the so-called Doc JOs. There are job orders provided by the local government.
Okay.
So when we have them, so we will let them help.
Okay. So on your interview, or even in your introduction, you could say, I live in a mountain. I mean, I teach at a mountain school, a mountainous school where, when you talk about the details that you just said. So think about how you could insert that in your information as information to them that shows the differences between the Philippines and the American schools, because they love that. Administrators love to hear that. And I've been here in the US 36 years that I don't even know a bunch of the things that we do as a teacher because I have been a student there, but I have never taught in the Philippines. So these are really great information for me. And that way, when I do training, for example, I would do that as an example. You know, my sister is so funny. She and I would do training, and I mentioned this before. She would say things like, we were so poor in the Philippines that we had to go to the Kentucky Fried Chicken and lick the customer's fingers. She's so silly like that. And anyway, so I get defensive, like, no, we're not that poor. You know, it was just a joke. But yeah, so the poverty thing, you use it as a comparison, for example, in the US and Philippines, or you can use that as a differentiation piece on how you differentiate for the, VK, for the visual kinesthetic kids in poverty, and your auditory kids, your kids that are that like to talk, that like to hear, are the same ones that like to talk. Why they talk, a lot of times you'll find out that your kids that are in trouble talking are usually your auditory kids, because in order for them to learn, they have to hear it. So they have to talk about it in order for them to hear. And that's why the 6-2 strategy would work. And it's 5-1 for kindergarten, by the way, 5 minutes teacher, 1 minute student, because you're able to process. So then your auditory learners are able to talk to a partner. Well, I want you to, think, pair, share, not to think, and then you pair up and you share what we just said, because this is the way that they call them the anchor in the information, so it will be in the long-term retention of the brain. Because if you don't do that, then they will just get deleted in the short-term memory. So in the long-term memory, if you anchor it, if you tell the brain, hey brain, it's like telling your brain that, hey brain, remember this, because you did the anchoring. That is the same as your debriefing. When you're doing a lesson or a group activity, you have to debrief the class and say, okay, this is what, as I was going around the group, I learned this. This is what, hey, group 1, I noticed that you have some really great conversation. Do you mind sharing that with the class? Because I really want the rest of the class to know what you were sharing in your group. And the reporter from the group, of course, when you do your grouping, you're going to have your assigned roles. So you have a leader, you have a material, the material person, organizer, and then the maybe your presenter. So they're gonna know who's gonna be talking. And then I always encourage them to be, for example, one person is talking and there's 3 people in the class, the other 2 need to stand by that person so that they have the support. Although the one person is talking, but the other 2 are kind of being present, physically present next to them, to show that they are a team. Okay, so hey, Giselle, that was a really good sharing. Is there anything else that we're doing that's different in the Philippines versus the US? Or do you have questions for me about, is this going on in the US and not in the Philippines? Nothing. Okay, so if we don't have anything, I'm going to continue to know some other teachers that I have not seen before. So Giselle, do you recognize someone that we need to call? And this is more of the process that we do is, we just really visiting. And then if there's something that triggers in my mind on what to share, I will. And I'm sorry that I've been sharing the same things in some of the videos, because those are my personal examples. So when you do your interview, use your own example. Okay, use an initial of a child or a child's first name. For example, John did this, Mike did this, Samantha did this in my classroom one time, and I remember this, and this is what I did with Samantha. And then you tell them that, Okay. So
I think it's Ma'am Fe Melaflor in Idnay. She would like to talk.
Yeah, Faye, you might
She
talk
sent
to
a
us.
message.
Have you been watching the chat, Giselle? Make sure that we answer the chat too.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, Faye, can you talk to me, Faye, and tell us about you? Faye.
Hi, Doc. Good evening, Doc.
Hello. Who told you
I'm so
about
sorry,
us? How did you know about
Doc.
us?
One of my colleagues, Doc, who happened to have a JO in Arkansas.
Oh yeah? Who is it?
Yeah. Harvey Zati, Doc.
Okay. J.O., which school? Do you know what school?
I don't know the particular name of school, Doc,
Okay.
because she got the JO
Okay, good
this
job.
month only.
Was she part of my
Yeah.
group? Because I don't remember that name. Was she part of my group or just a friend of somebody?
She's part of your group, Doc. She
Tell me the last name
eventually,
again.
Zati, Doc, Zati.
How do you spell it?
Zate.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So
Harvey,
she got a
Harvey.
job offer. Yay. I'm so proud of that. Do encourage her to attend though. Do encourage her to attend because I want her to share that good information. When you get a job offer, I want to hear and we want to celebrate you. Okay. So Faye, tell me about you.
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc. Good evening, Doc. Good morning, rather. Good morning, Doc. I am Femila Flor Ignay, a public school teacher from the Philippines. I teach junior high school science subject, and then I have been teaching for 10 years, 13 years and 7 months to be exact. And in my entire teaching, Doc, I have been teaching Filipino, math, MAPE, English, science for that whole duration of years in
Okay.
as my
What kind of science
experience.
branch? What branch of science do you? That's important to know. Are you doing biology? Are you doing physical science? What branch of science?
In the Philippines, Doc, we are practicing spiral. So in our grade level, for every quarter, there is a particular for science. In the first quarter, we do physics, second quarter, biology,
Okay.
third quarter, chemistry, and fourth quarter is about earth science.
Make sure you say that. Make sure you say that because that's an information about the Philippines that you can share about science.
Yes.
How you do it, okay? Yeah. And then why do you have a teaching philosophy and why you want to come to Arkansas or the US?
My philosophy in teaching, Doc, is I want to impart knowledge to my learners and to change their lives based on my teaching and assuring that they will be good individuals in the future. So I wanted to teach in the US, Doc. It's because I want to share the culture of the Filipinos to the Americans. And of course, I wanted to have I wanted to learn the culture as well of the Americans.
Very good.
So that when I come back here, I can
Mhm.
share also to the Filipino learners what Americans can offer to me.
Very good. Very, very fluent. Good job. You may want to, in the philosophy, everyone, and you have to start with the word believe. I believe that teaching should
Okay.
do this. I believe that teaching should use a real life application or should real life connections because it
Yes.
impacts children. You know, you have to start with that because that's your philosophy, what you believe about children, what you believe about learning. Okay.
Okay.
So that's good because I love the way that you put you're like a good citizens. You might say productive to become
Yes,
productive citizens in the future. Yeah, very good.
Actually, Doc,
Go ahead.
I had already an interview with one of the superintendents in New Mexico.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay. What happened?
yes, Doc. I don't know what's the result of my interview, Doc, because he just told me that he will just email me if I can proceed to the next level. So yesterday, out of curiosity, I emailed him of the update, and then he replied that he want to have a time, probably Monday morning, Doc.
You must have done well then. Good job. Good luck on it.
I don't know with the result, Doc, because during the interview, he just said that he will only give me 7 questions. And then if I can answer it briefly and correctly, no more further questions will be added.
Nice.
And then I was so happy because after the 7th question, he just said congratulations and wait for the email if I can proceed to the next level. And after that, Doc, I also applied for spring school, the Texas, Richmond, and I waited for an interview schedule until this hour, Doc, because I wanted to experience teaching in the US.
Very good. You might want to make sure that at the end of the interview, they want to ask you, do you have any questions for us? Okay, when they ask that, do not
Yes,
say
Doc.
about money. Yeah. What did you say when they ask you that at the end of the interview? What did you say?
My colleague, Doc, who happened to tell me about you.
Oh, okay.
We usually call ourselves when we are at school, because my colleague is my friend from kindergarten to college. We were classmates, and then we were in the same school. So we used to consider ourselves as more than sisters, not by blood. So she told me that after the interview, you will wait if the interview will tell you, do you have any questions? So during the interview of Mr. Espaleta rather, Doc, I waited for that statement. Unfortunately, he did not say that, Doc.
You did not. Okay. So if they didn't say that, you can just ask questions like, you can say, hey, do you mind sharing with me your timeline, like your next steps? What are next steps? What are the expectations? Because what happens is that they have to meet with the board. The board will, the school board will approve the teacher hiring. And so they cannot really tell you you're hired because it has to be official from the board. And so you need to be sending an email, which you did as a backup, but after the interview, as soon as you finish, you should send them an email thanking them for their time. I really enjoyed visiting with you, and thank you so much for your time. I enjoyed, the questions, and I'm looking forward to hearing back from you about the results of the interview. Everybody should do that at the end of the interview, and then do a follow-up. I would always say, I'm not trying to be pushy, but, I'm just curious about, what result, or have you decided yet? I'm very excited or something like that. Just kind of show that you're not being pushy or bossy, but you're just really curious. Okay. Sounds like they must have liked your answers then. They must have liked your answers.
During that interview, Doc, supposedly my colleague is the one who was sent by that email. And then he declined the offer because she got hired in Arkansas.
Wow.
So he recommended me, Doc. Yes, she sent me the link and told me that what if I will apply. So immediately I sent my CV and resume. So after 4 minutes, Mr. Espaleta rather, Doc, sent me if I could have an interview with him.
Nice.
So it's my first time, Doc. Even though I'm teaching for 13 years and 7 months, I'm still nervous, Doc, because taking into consideration Americans will interview me. So during that time, Doc, I'm not sure if in answering his question, and my colleague gave me some inputs on the possible questions, and the 7 questions given to me was the exact questions that I have studied.
Can you tell us? Can you tell us the question? Yeah.
For his first question was, you tell me about yourself and tell me about yourself as a person.
Okay.
Another question was, can you tell me how to handle unruly or what term students
that misbehave?
For us, Doc, yes, Doc, misbehave. And then another question that was given to me was how will I handle parents that is not in dealing with the teachers. Okay. And then how will I handle teachers if there is conflict?
Okay.
And how will I apply my lesson from the start, in the middle, and in the end?
Okay.
So that are the questions that was given to me.
Those are, other than the lesson part, the last question, all of those are in my review material. on your PowerPoint as well as the Josephine video. So did your friend share any of those materials with you? Who is your friend that got a job in Arkansas?
Ma'am Harvey Zate, Doc.
Yeah, she's the one. Okay. So do you remember what school though? What school?
I don't know the school, Doc, but she just told me that she will be hired in Arkansas.
I'm proud of her.
She was
yeah.
very busy with the documents, Doc, and I was very eager to learn what to do, what are the things to be learned, and
Okay.
I asked her, can you give me advices, since we are 3 in the school that are considered to be very close, and 2 of them are to be hired.
Oh, how?
One of my close friends is to be assigned in Arizona.
Arizona. Okay, that's pretty far away from each other, by the way. Although our, you know, Arkansas is AR. That's what the little abbreviation is.
Yes.
Arizona
Yes,
is
Doc.
AZ, and we get
Mm-mm.
people get them confused all the time. Arizona, they put AR
Mm-mm.
instead of Arkansas, AZ. Yeah,
Yes,
I
Doc.
think Arizona. Yeah. Anyway, so that's cool. I hope that you all 3 would get in the US anyway. Doesn't matter if it's Arkansas or not, but just to get here in the US and change your lives. You know, I think
Yes, Doc.
that impact
I
to your
am claiming
family.
that, Doc.
Yeah.
So she told me that, Dai, please attend the Zoom meeting of Dr. Merlina. She's good.
Okay.
She's nice. She will be entertaining all of the teachers or aspiring teachers who will teach in the US. And please come to the meeting as early as possible, because she will entertain all the teachers that will be in the meeting. So I entered the meeting, Doc, 9 p.m. I chat her, can I be given the chance to talk to Dr. Merlina Dail? Because as I can see in the participants, we are 24.
Yeah, there's a lot.
24 already. So
Yeah.
yes, Doc. So she told me that you put a message in the chat box that you wanted to talk to her, so
Mhm.
that you will be guided.
Yeah. And Giselle is looking for that for me. Thank you, Giselle. Yeah, you did an awesome job. By the way, you're very fluent. You should not have any problem getting a job, because you are very just like visiting with me, and you're confident.
Yes, Doc.
Right? So the only thing you need to
Yes,
work
Doc.
on is make sure that you wear something professional looking, like you're going to church.
Yes, Doc.
Okay? And put your makeup
Yes,
on,
Doc.
put lipstick on.
Yes, during the interview, Doc, I have done that. I wore office dress, and also I had my makeup done.
Good job.
Yes, Doc. At this moment, Doc, we just got home because we were in the, say, 6 kilometers away from here, because the signal in our house is not that much.
Mhm.
So maybe this is the result of our travel.
It's
I'm so
okay.
sorry, Doc.
That's okay. You can share those things with the teachers. Like, I'm sorry if I have unstable internet because of this. And they are so
Yes, Doc.
very accommodating and would be understanding about that. And I'm so glad to talk to you. So, and I'm hoping that you'll be in Arkansas or some other state soon. You know, do continue to attend Zoom though. That way we'll know about you and give us update. Is there
Yes.
someone here? Is there someone here that's
Oh.
already here that's wanting to talk? I know I'm going to call my bunch. They're eating breakfast right now. So I told them go ahead and, because their breakfast will be cold if they wait for me. But anyway, any last question for me? Faye, you have any last question that you want to ask me? Or did you learn something today?
Yes, Doc. Sorry if
Any last comment? I guess I'm
sorry
asking
if
for
I
you last-
cannot hear you, Doc,
Huh?
because the internet is not that stable.
Oh.
Doc, my last question is how to be confident in dealing with the interviewer.
You already
During
are.
my interview with, thank you for that, Doc. But as I can assess myself during the interview with Mr. Espalita, I am not this fluent in answering his question. So I wonder what will I do to be like this in dealing with the interviewers soon?
Pretend that you're talking to me like you're doing now. You'll do fine. Because you just pretend like I'm just talking to a friend. I'm just talking to Ms. McCullough. You know, just kind of pretend like they are your mentor, or they are just people that you already know. Because once you do that, then it's kind of take your brain to relax. Because I'm just talking to a friend. That's all I'm doing. It's not like
Yes, Doc.
I'm so afraid, but you know what? I was afraid when I was having my interview.
That was my reaction, Doc.
Yeah,
That
and that's
was
a
my
very normal
reaction.
reaction. But the more that you overcome that, the better chance you have of getting a job. Because what they're doing is, and a former administrator, what we're doing is we're thinking about, is this teacher confident enough to teach the students? Is this teacher going to be tough enough to handle our students with discipline problems? They're trying to
Yes,
assess
Doc.
you through your answer and through your physical, presence, I guess, confidence and so on.
Yes, Doc.
So, but you're very good at being still. You're not like moving around and so on. And yeah, your background is good. Do not try to match your background with your shirt, because you will just like be one.
Yes, Doc.
Pink and
I will
pink,
try
right?
to improve it, Doc.
Yeah, that's okay.
Fortunately, Doc, in my entire 13 years and 7 months of teaching, in dealing with people, it's very easy for me here in the Philippines, because I used to be the master of ceremonies for every event in our school, may it be small or big event. I used to host in our municipality when there is a big event. I just wonder what have I done during my first interview with Mr. Espaleta?
You did good, I bet. But as an MC though, as an MC, that should help you. And you mentioned that, because I encourage everyone to include your extracurricular things that you do. Like, for example, I'm a
Yes,
chess
Doc.
coach. So I would mention that, because you know what they're thinking is like, if you are good at chess, maybe you can have a chess club here. Or if you're good at volleyball, maybe
Yes,
you
Doc.
can be a volleyball coach. That kind of give you a little edge, that maybe they want to hire you
Yes,
me
Doc.
because they want to do this extra. For English teachers, that you might, yearbook, it's a big one here. They do a yearbook every year. And so if you've done a yearbook or some kind of publication before, you might want to mention that. Okay. If you have
So
played
can I include that, Doc?
Yes, do.
It's
Do
because
include.
as a science teacher, Doc, I used to bring awards in the school, especially coaching students in our science investigatory project, Doc.
Very
We
good.
compete in the division level, and
Mhm.
to mention the awards,
Yes,
we went home for the award.
Good. You can say something about, it's the same as like Olympiad here. They call it Science Olympiad, Olympics, but Olympiad.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, it's the same, similar. They have prizes and so on, and then they will be our science fair here. Even they would have a science fair for a school, and then after that they will have a county. There's 75 counties in Arkansas, for example. Like in our county, there are 3 schools, so you have to compete in the county level, and then when whoever reaches that, they will have like a regional level, and it's a bigger, and then after that, state level. So the state level will be so hard to get in. So that's one thing that you can kind of similar to science fair, similar to science Olympiad. Yeah.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah. So I think anytime that you give a little information about you, about as a Filipino, as a Filipino teacher, I think that's going to help you, because you're going to have to take those questions and make it your own, the answers. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Doc.
Yeah, I think you'll do well. So I'm waiting for good news from you. Okay.
Yes,
So,
Doc, thank you.
what's
Thank you
gonna
so
happen?
much, Doc.
Yeah. Thank you so much for talking to me. So what's gonna happen is, by the way, if you have any necklace things, it doesn't have to be real.
Yes, Doc.
Something wear that. That may really look, for women, make you look more professional. For men, I know some men have like earrings you might want to not have that, especially if you're talking to really conservative schools, Catholic schools or whatever. But for women, I think it makes you look like you're very well put together. Just make it, this, look, we look like we know what we're doing. I have so many different necklaces like this, because I'm like, it's kind of like wrapping up or making the outfit, more complete. So I know in the Philippines we're like the real one, but here we hardly use the real gold or whatever. We always use like the fashion kind, the fake.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, that's what we use. So I have a bunch of them. And in fact, I need to share that with the teachers, because I'm tired of some of them. But anyway, okay, well, thank you so much, Faye. I'm hoping that you end up, here close by and be able to see me. Most of the teachers that I brought in Arkansas, they have been to my house. I always invite them. I know Mike's family will be coming here because like today we're gonna have a picnic by the lake. So I'm excited about that. And we're having like marinated some barbecue, you know, chicken we're gonna grill there. So yeah, and then staying in a cabin. So
Thank you so much, Doc, for your
Thank you.
time.
Yeah,
And for
no
inspiring
problem.
us Filipinos to be the future teachers in the America.
You can do
Thank
it.
you, Doc.
Yeah, I believe it. That your first step is being here and learning. And in that way, you will know how to answer. Okay. And research. Anytime you get an interview invitation, the first thing you need to do is research their website, research their community. So for example, if Salem, I live in Salem, asked me for an interview, and I taught in Salem for 15 years, then I already know because I live here. But if it's a different one, I would know the community. Like one of the communities here in Arkansas is not very safe, you know. So one teacher was saying to me, it was Josephine, I think, was offered a job there. And then she asked me, you know, she told me that I researched the school and there's all kinds of crimes and it's not it doesn't look good. It's very negative, you know, the press there. And what do you think? And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to make decision for you, but this is what I would say, is that my husband would not let me teach there. But for you, if a teacher in that school would give you a room and let you, you know, like rent a room in their, you know, their house, and then you will be with that teacher all the time, you ride with her, or, you know, all that, then you'll be okay. But if you live alone, like my husband will not have me teach there and live alone, you know. So that's what I'd said, and say, oh, I've decided not to accept it. And I'm like, that might be a good decision, but I will never make that decision for you. You have to make that decision. And another school called me, and another teacher told me that I got an offer from this school in Arkansas, but he rescinded the offer, means that he took it back, because the visa sponsors was gonna take 20% of her pay every year. That's awful. You're working and you only get 80% because the sponsor is getting 1/5 of it. That's crazy. And so the superintendent was a friend of mine, and he said, assistant superintendent is a friend of mine, and he said, Merlina, I just cannot stand that a teacher would be taken advantage of like that. So I just rescinded the offer. I'm like, oh, you know, that, you know, I said, yeah, I don't want her to be taken advantage of. And so, but this particular sponsor, so if you find a sponsor, do not give them 20% of your pay. That's ridiculous. So that means if you get 50,000, that's 12,500. That's 600, close to 700,000. You're gonna give them every year. That's crazy, right? So it should just be a one-time thing. You should not be doing it. Well,
yes,
there's some kind of fees every year, but not so much. Do not let them take advantage of.
Yes,
yeah. So remember that. Yeah, do not use a third-party agency, because the designated visa sponsors. Giselle, do you mind copying and pasting them on the chat, please? The designated visa sponsors are the only ones that could sponsor you. So if you get another agency, they still have to get another sponsor. So you're paying double. Okay. So do not use them unless they're on the list. They're on the list of the designated visa sponsor. They are the only ones that could do it. Okay. Yeah, I think Giselle will maybe cut and paste it there. And so if you want to, you can copy and paste it to a document in your computer. That way you'll have it. Or you can Google designated visa sponsor US, and you see the word bridge in it, and that's the one. And there's a program, you have to use a program to teacher. Okay. All right. Who else? Who else wanted to talk? Yeah, thank you again, Faye. Who else?
Thank you so much, Doc, for your time, Doc. God bless you more.
Oh, yeah,
thank you
too.
Very much.
You too. And so we have 20 plus people. That's good. So who else? I have seen, let me look through here. Let me get my glasses here. Annalyn. Okay, Annalyn, I've talked to you, right? I know it's time. Annalyn.
Yes. Hello everyone.
Thanks again for coming back.
Wonderful time in there, ma'am. And thank you so much for this group. And I want also to thank Ma'am Josephine Paredes for, yes, ma'am. And she's my friend here in the Philippines. She's a master teacher here before. She knows me a lot because we have the same district. And I just want to ask ma'am if what is the big difference about private school and public school there. Yes, ma'am, because I was scheduled an interview on Tuesday in Florida. The school is Avant Schools of Excellence. Is that a private school, ma'am?
You can Google them and find out, because some of the, if it's a name of a saint like Saint Michael, whatever, they usually are Catholic schools or whatever denomination, but you can go to the website and find out.
Okay.
Because
yes.
you said Florida, that
Yes,
sounds like a private.
ma'am.
Tell me the school again.
Avant Schools of Excellence, ma'am.
Okay. You Google that and look at their website, because some of them may be under the umbrella of a public school. So you can even email, like, if you know, you can email someone there and say, hey, you know, is this a private school or whatever? So yeah, and it usually says there anyway. Like when you
Yes.
Google them, it would say it's a private school or public school, and look up information about them, and look at the student population. Most of the time, your private school will have less, not very many. You know, I don't know of very many private school that's huge. They're usually small. So they're usually by, students with, they have students that are, whose parents are very traditional or very conservative, and they do not want the kids to go to public school and learn all kinds of things, which they do anyway in the Catholic school, but kids are kids. But the difference you're asking me is that public school actually pays more than the private school. For example, in Arkansas, it's we start at 50,000, 2.5 million, but in a private school, they are not regulated like the public school is. They have to follow the rules. You know, in a private school, whoever is the head there would they do their own rules. So they don't have to follow the Arkansas rules. So you might be offered 30,000 or 40,000 instead of the 50 that's required in Arkansas starting this year. Everybody has to start at 50,000. You know, we had Christine here, she was making 39, and this year she's making 50. So she had an $11,000 raise. So I'm proud of her. But yeah, that's the big difference is the pay. And if you are here, like a friend of mine, you know, is teaching in a private school, then she's not part of the teacher retirement. Here we have a teacher retirement in Arkansas, and after 28 years, you can retire like me. You are pensionada. You know, you'll have an income for the rest of your life, you know, while you're alive, and then it comes every month. So you're getting paid while not working anymore. But if private school, you don't have that. So if you work in a private school and you are going to be here permanently already, you may want to put your own retirement account, like a 401k of some kind of investment, so that in your older age you will have something. And that's why a bunch of the private school teachers would come into public, because of the retirement. And then another thing is that insurance here is so ridiculously high that for the J1 visa, it's okay, it's cheap actually for you. But if you're a teacher here local, we have to pay like $500 something a month just for insurance. And then as a retired person, you also have to pay, but mine is like half that. But yeah, insurance here is crazy. They'll get you.
So it's better to hire in a public school. That's right, ma'am.
Well, I cannot really say that. It's really depending. It's really situational. So what you need to do is research that, find out their pay, and then a lot of times that's published. And then if that is the only option you have, you may want to choose it and then just get here. You can always transfer schools later. Okay. Hi, Giselle. Can you talk to everybody? I'm answering a phone by somebody real quick. Okay. Just talk to each other real quick.
I applied also some schools in Arkansas, ma'am, but until now I have no offer yet. I did not yet get any interview, so maybe I'll try to be interviewed in Florida if.
Ma'am, Dr. Merlina is on the phone right now.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Maybe we
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
may mga Bisaya dali.
Hi, Ma'am Giselle. Maayong gabi.
Yes, ma'am. Maayong gabi. Hello, Sir Tony. How are you, sir?
Isa rin yung naka-experience din rin na ang applications ba through email dili ma-send. May
Meron
parihan
pa
na
nun, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Na-try ko rin. Yung meron pa yung ano, yung hindi mo ma-submit yung application form. Na-experience ko din yan.
Okay. What was the problem with the application form? Because of the
Yes,
Social Security?
Yes, ma'am. And
No, Doc. Oh, ay, you continue sa mama niya.
Sorry.
okay, ma'am. And then one thing more, ma'am, I applied also one school in New Mexico, and they emailed me, the superintendent emailed me asking the copy of the teaching license in there, and I'm wondering why she, or why the superintendent asking me that is, I'm not yet interviewed by the principal. Why like that, ma'am?
Well, they want to make sure they may be doing their final choices. You might be one of the final choices to be interviewed. And so the ones with no papers, they're going to put you in the no interview file. So they're trying to get their organized for the interview. So if they're asking for that, you may be a candidate to be interviewed.
Okay, ma'am.
So yeah. And if they're asking for your license, just make sure you explain. And by the way, in New Mexico, you can actually apply online and
Yes, ma'am,
get that. So get that. If you're
Yes.
doing New Mexico, you need to get your license already. Everything's online, and it's like $10 or something, very cheap. So then you need to explain about reciprocity. Reciprocity is that they will honor the Philippine license and change it into their license. But in New Mexico, it's easy. But in Arkansas, you have to like be here before you can do a reciprocity. They have to take a test, TOEFL, which is like an English fluency. So a lot of extra things for for Arkansas, but New Mexico is the easiest one. So a lot of the teachers have gotten New Mexico license.
Okay, ma'am.
So yeah. So
Okay,
if
I
you have,
tried also to apply many schools in Arkansas, ma'am, but sad to say, until right now, I did not yet offer any interviews.
Yeah, well,
So I tried in other states. So just like what I've said, ma'am, that somebody emailed me in Florida, and one thing is in New Mexico. That's the one I'm telling about the license.
mhm.
So
But
I
the
just
one,
tried.
yeah, but somebody's gonna in Florida was gonna offer you a job already.
Not yet, ma'am. Interviewed. I was scheduled and interviewed on Tuesday next
Yeah,
week.
take
ma'am.
all the interviews you want because it's a good practice for you. Even if you end up not getting the job, it's a good
Yes.
practice for you. You'll feel more relaxed because you have been there.
Yes, ma'am.
So good luck on that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I also tried interviewed in Tennessee. Is that
Tennessee?
yes, ma'am, in Freedom Prep School, but sad to say I was not offered a job, JO, maybe because the HR said that the process is too long. She said she emailed me
okay.
that the process is too long.
A lot of times they are afraid of the visa process. You need to tell
Yes,
them that you
ma'am.
have a website. You already know. You in fact you need to start talking to one of those in the website already, talking to them because usually you could contact them by email and ask them that I am applicant and I don't have a job offer yet. But if you have a job offer, you need to start with that. I have a job offer already. I'm just looking for a designated visa sponsor. So, but some visa sponsor, they can be talking to you and be a member of their club already. And then that way, if you get a JO, it's easy, a job offer, it's easier because you're already a part of them. So some of them are doing that. So just, I think, let me see, Green Heart is one, GEC, Global Something Concepts is one, and then ITES is one. So just look at the list and then those are the common ones that are here.
Yes,
And
anyway, ma'am, I thank you so much for this group and of course for you, ma'am. So maybe if given a chance to be offered by any work there, so I will I'm saying now, ma'am, that please help me. I will message you if I will be choose to offer a job order.
Yeah, you put me as one of the references now that I talked to you. Do not put me there unless you have talked to me because I would not know what to say about you. I usually review the Zoom and
thank you so much. Yes,
yeah,
thank you so much,
ma'am. You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much for your time and effort.
No problem.
No problem.
I need to wrap this up because they are now waiting for me to get a like. But anyway, so you're welcome. Thank you so much for talking to me and come back anytime. Okay. Oh, who else wants to talk because they're new here? We are taking too much time, but Who else is new? By the way, guys, I've noticed that our pronunciation is different with the Philippines and English on colleagues. Okay, you need to say colleagues. My colleague and my colleagues. Okay, notice the accent is different. So you may want to practice that because it's gonna stick out that it's not the same as the US. But you know, that's our language. Okay, who else did not talk to? Kathy, that Kathy with a C there. Have I talked to you? I don't have a picture though, so I would not know.
Hi, Doc. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? Looks like you have a mirror like I do in the back. Tell me about you.
I'm Mrs. Christy M. Taharan, ma'am.
Okay.
The one who you responded, ma'am. Thank you for the response in email. So, I am very willing to ask for your assistance, ma'am. I am an applicant. I am 18 years in service in a public school, DepEd, Philippines, Division of Pasig City. I am teaching here at the public school, Nagpayong Elementary School, Pinagbuhatan, Pasig City. And I am deciding to apply abroad, ma'am. And very eager to ask for your assistance. And it's a blessing, ma'am, to know you, and you are very accommodating.
Thank you. Thank you. And I wish you the best too. Did you apply at www.schoolspring.com? Did you apply there yet? Because there's a lot of needs right now in different states. So
yes, ma'am. But
yeah.
As of now, no one responded yet, ma'am.
Okay, put me as a reference. Put me on the top of the reference. That way they see somebody they could email me. Yeah, and when I responded to you, all my information is there. My phone number or my email. Just use that. Okay, because once they ask me for a reference about you, that's like a little survey they send. I go back to your file and I look at what you said about yourself, and those are the things I would put in. You know.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I ask? Is it really the requirements for us as a teacher to take the test called practice test?
Practice test for what? TOEFL?
Or is it for? I heard from my co-teacher, ma'am, abroad. Practice test. One of that is the praxis.
Okay. That will be for you later. You don't have to worry about that until you get here usually. You know, some states may be requiring you to do that. So you need to look at there. For example, if it's Arizona, you need to type Arizona Department of Education. And then once you in their website, then you can search for licensure. Okay. And then you read about the licensure requirement. Usually they put licensure from another state, another country, or licensure by reciprocity. Read the direction, read the requirements. If it's one of the requirements, of course, that's a yes for your question. But in Arkansas, that's a no, because they will have praxis here, but they're not going to worry about that as a requirement to come. That's a requirement to get your standard license. So they're going to give you like an initial license, and then when you get all the requirements, you will get your standard license. So in Arkansas, that's not true. So, but other states I cannot speak for.
If we already passed that practice test here in the Philippines, do we need to retake again, ma'am?
A practice test does not count.
Take the test again in the US?
Yeah, because practice test is a practice. It doesn't count towards the actual one. You have to take the actual one. The practice is just practice. That doesn't count to anything. It's just for you to get ready for. Okay, so it doesn't count. So if you have, the answer is yes. If it's required by that state, you have to do it. And Arkansas requires you to have a praxis in your field. So if you're elementary, you're gonna have to take that praxis for the elementary, you know, or I think mostly high school though, they have to take the praxis for their level, for example.
Right. Okay, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, let's go through Giselle and see if anybody else that we haven't talked to. Thanks again, Christy. Appreciate you.
Thank you po.
Okay. All right, let me see because I need to leave. I have that call a while ago that I answered is one of the Filipinos in surrounding area, and they're going to join us in the picnics. So they just want to know, are we still doing it? And I said, I'm still Zooming. Anyway, Okay, so Ricane, hi Ricane. I feel like I know you because I have lots of communication with you. Ricane, thank you for coming back. Didith, have I talked to you, Didith? You have a really nice profile picture. Didith, you want to talk to me? I know I've talked to Bong. Bong, do you have anything new? Oh, Nieva. I want to talk to you, Nieva, because you got a job offer already to Brinkley. So you're going to be with your best friend, Christine, right? Nieva, did you say you have a question on the visa, right?
Good morning, Doc. And
Good
good
morning.
evening to the
Congratulations, girl. Wow.
Thank you, Doc. Finally.
Yeah, I have talked to Dr. Poole about you, and Christine had talked about you. I forwarded your information directly to her because Christine wants to be with her best friend. So
thank you, Doc.
Congratulations.
So I've currently, Doc, I've been applying for J1 visa sponsor, and unfortunately GEC Green Heart is already closed, but they put me on the list, Doc, but it says that they have long list of applicants for J1 visa, and now I am actually applying on the link that you have sent me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Find out. ITES is another one. You might want to try ITES. Yeah, that's one that I know had helped people. And just email them as many as you want. And then you have to start your sentence with, my name is so-and-so, and I have a job offer already from Arkansas. And I'm really looking for a J1 visa sponsor, because that will get their attention, because they will get hundreds or thousands of applications. But when you get your JO already, your job offer, that kind of puts you in a number top of the list, because they don't have to find a placement for you, that you already placing yourself. So you just need pretty much their form. Okay. So yeah, so find out about, good luck. And I can't wait to see you.
Thank you for the
here in August. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. What did Dr. Poole say about the start of school? Your principal had already.
Yes, Doc, it would be on August. The training would be on August 7, and the start of the class would be on August 14.
Okay.
It's on
okay. So once you get your sponsor, they will do everything for you. They process for you, they tell you their fees or whatever. J1 visa is either paid by the school or paid by the applicant, or sometimes mixed. I do not know Brinkley has money or not. If they have money for you, then they will pay for you. But most schools do not have the extra money. But it's okay, because it's an investment for yourself. You get, even if you borrow money, you pay that the first month or the first 2 months you're here. Okay, it's worth it. And and a bunch of the teachers actually did that. They owed money, but then they paid it immediately when they get their paycheck. So then after that, so you actually essentially have an interview with your visa sponsor. And once you're approved by them, then they accept you. Then they will give you a DS-2019, which is like a form with all your information about, what school you're going to be with and what your pay would be and so on. So it's very important information. And that's the paperwork that you need to go to embassy. The embassy would ask you questions from your DS. So you need to make sure you know those information there, especially your pay and all those other things there. Make sure it matches, because if you do something that doesn't match, then that could reflect your result. Okay. So I don't think you have a problem passing it. You just need to make sure you find the sponsor.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping.
Yeah, was it Alliance or something? Is there something with the word Alliance in it? Look in that too. Yeah, and I think they're the partner for Little Rock. Little Rock has needs more than 100 needs. So if you haven't applied in Little Rock, Arkansas, you need to apply, because you're only an hour away from everybody else. It's very, 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 very close to everybody else. I'm 3 hours away. But Little Rock is big. It's the capital. It's like Manila for us. And so yours would be a small school. And you're going to have an apartment very close by, and it's just a small school for you. I think the population is less than 1,000 students.
Actually, Christine already offered me to stay with her, Doc, in her apartment.
You're lucky because you got a roommate already. It's always nice to have a roommate. Yeah, you split everything up. So instead of 600 a month,
to have a best friend like her now.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's like a dream come true for you guys. Yeah, I'm happy for you, Nieva. Because you applied with Christine. I remembered you attending with Christine. And
yes, but unfortunately, I didn't pass the interview last time, Doc.
So now you're better. What was different this time? In your answers, were you better?
Yes, Doc. I guess so, Doc.
Okay, why did you think you got better? Like for what particular thing?
Because last time I think I was not really prepared, but this time, ahead of time, I review the ones that you give me, Doc, the reviewer.
The
I really
PowerPoint?
review it, like last time, Doc.
Yeah, and the questions were there, right? Most of the questions were
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yes.
And the answers were there. So you just have to put your own example. So of course, the answer would be coming from me about my experience, but you have to do your own. Just replace.
I just make it personal, Doc, and based on what I have done in my school, Doc.
Good job. Good job. Yay. That was successful. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I am looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yes, Doc.
Because Christine is I'm sure she's, very happy. Yeah. Glad that- your principal did ask me about the visa sponsor as well. He emailed me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Doc. Christine actually sent me a bunch of visa sponsor, Doc, also.
Good. Yeah,
She
Christine
also
should be
sent
able to
a
help
bunch.
you. Yeah.
Yes,
She should be able to help you. Yeah.
really.
Okay, well, let me know. Get me updated, okay? If you find one, if there's something I can do to help you. Okay,
Thank
that's
you,
one of my
Doc.
schools. Yeah, I'm a consultant for that school. So
Thank
that one and Helena. Yeah, Brinkley and Helena. All right.
Thank
Okay.
you so
Nice
much.
talking to you. All right.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else before we close up, because I'm really 25 minutes late. So anyway, anybody else? If you have any question, that's why
Doc,
you sent it. You have to ask me. Go ahead.
me, Doc.
Who?
Uh,
Oh yeah, Faye.
good
Okay, go ahead.
evening, good morning again, Doc.
Mhm.
Doc, if given the approval from you, Doc, can I also include you as my reference person in my
Yes.
future applications?
Yes, you can put me if you have talked to me already. Do not put me if you have not talked to me, because I would not know what to say about you. Especially if you have not sent me any paperwork. Yeah. Send me your CV, your resume, cover letter, and 3 references. That's all. And then the other requirement
And
will
also,
be coming from your visa
Doc,
sponsor. Huh? What is it?
if you don't mind, Doc, can I also ask for your email address so that I can send messages for future assistance?
Look in there on the bottom. You already contacted me, right? You already
Yes, Doc.
contacted me. Look in there in my response. It's in the bottom. The bottom of my response has my
Yes.
all information. Yeah, it's McCullough Merlina at Gmail. It's my last name, first name at gmail.com. That's very easy. Yeah, did not put a dot. So McCullough Merlina at gmail.com. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hope to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Doc.
You're welcome. Okay. Anybody else? Did not talk to me, but so Lorena, I talked to you. Marivic, have I talked to you? I know Mike's still there. Thank you, Mike. Candelaria, is that Candelaria?
Hi, Miss Doc. Good morning.
Yeah. Thank you for coming back, girl. Did you have an interview?
Not yet, Doc. I revised my CV and resume and I sent it already to your email address.
Okay.
For some corrections, Doc. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I try to give you a little feedback on your resume and cover letter. A bunch of you had forgotten the references at the end. Make sure you put that in your resume. They have to have people they can email about you. So it's very important to have those 3 people, email and contact info, your phone, and who they are. If they are put in parentheses, like for example, if it's me, Dr. Merlina McCullough, and put in parentheses mentor, I'm your mentor. And so you can put that there so they know how I'm related to you, a relationship. So colleague, you can put colleague for a colleague, or supervisor for a principal, so you can put that. Okay. All right, Candelaria, good luck. Okay. All right. Who else did we have? If we don't have any more, I guess we'll have to close this up. And thank you again for the 20+ people that attended. And I have a recording of this, and I will, if you are in the distribution list, you should be getting the recording. I did not send the one last time yet, so I might be sending 2. So, and some of you have emailed me and to remind me, like, hey, you forgot to send the recording. Are you planning to send the recording? And sometimes remind me, because it's been so busy, especially this summer. I'm coaching chess Tuesday and Thursday, and so the other days I have to prepare for the lesson for that. It's doing a I'm just volunteering as a community, something for the kids to do, for our chess players to do, because I was a chess coach forever in Salem. So now I'm doing it for the community. So I got the business sponsors, business to buy our chess sets, to buy our snacks, and t-shirts. So yeah, so do something like that in your community, because you can put that in your resume, and you can also say that on your interview, that these are things that I'm doing above and beyond as a teacher. Because as an administrator, I would love to hire somebody that would go above and beyond, because that means that teacher is very motivated and very hardworking, going above and beyond, not somebody that just take your paycheck and don't do anything extra. So make sure you do, okay? All right, so have a great summer. And in 2 weeks, which is 24, 31, July 30, and the very last day is the next meeting. So we just skip a Saturday and then the next one. So if you cannot attend, no big deal. But you can just get the recording. But it is so nice to, if you talk, like Candelaria always talks, and Giselle talks, because that's a good practice for you. Just like what Leslie said, that is a good practice, okay? All right, I'm gonna have to go to the lake soon. So bye-bye, and until 2 weeks, okay? All right, bye guys.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Yeah,
God bless,
thank
Doc.
you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you,
Okay,
Doc.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna turn it off. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Doc.